Right,
Angus, you know what to do.
Ready to go.
Clap us in with our new clapper board.
Wait, you see this, Ross, right?
Welcome to the Whisky Stories podcast. What whiskey bottle would be the best weapon to fight off a bear? 100 episodes in, Cody, and that's what you hit us with.
Well,
100 episodes in.
As a Manic whore, I should say that a Manic More cream liqueur would be pretty saucy.
Paris.
Well, you know what, Angus? You're absolutely spot on.
How's your food?
Terrible.
Good.
Welcome along to the Whisky Stories podcast, episode 100!
Hey.
We've done it. I can't believe we've done it.
We haven't done it yet.
Well, we're nearly exactly the way things are going. We might not get it done anytime soon as well. We're not back in our usual position. 100 episodes on, we've gone down in the world.
We tried to get in our normal position, but
We were horsed out.
We were horsed out.
Yeah, there was a misunderstanding, miscommunication.
Double booked.
But we're down. We're in the Athletic Arms. We're not sandwiched nicely between the gents' toilets and the bar. We're sandwiched nicely underneath the gents' toilets
Yep.
and the bar.
Moving down in the world.
We have gone after 100 episodes. We've gone down in the world, but here we are, lads. We've done it. We've made it to episode 100, a milestone.
Aren't we good?
We've done. Well, we've done something.
I think if you told me we would have done 100 episodes after the recording of the first episode,
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, I may not know Graham and Angus in a couple of months.
You were skeptical. You were very skeptical. You were.
I think if you told me we'll do 100 episodes, I think I'd say, nah, you're right, Graham. I'll do something else in my time.
Exactly. I knew we'd get done. So I remember very vividly having a conversation with you guys, and the
Yes.
stat is that like the majority of podcasts that start never make it past episode 8.
We've
And
done that.
I said episode 10 is the marker, because what can sometimes happen is I knew you get to episode 8 and we go,
Run
"Hey,
it."
we've done it. We'll
Yeah.
wait and then we can never get an episode recorded again, and it just falls
Run
off
out
the
of
wagon.
steam, yeah.
We have missed one Thursday.
That's it.
Yeah.
One
episode.
Thursday in January this year.
That's a
We've
big
missed
commitment
one
from
Thursday.
yourself as well, Graham. Credit
Yeah,
to
I've
you.
never actually. I can safely say I am the only person who has never missed a single episode of the Whisky
That's true.
Stories
You're
podcast.
The one constant.
And now what I'd like to ask you guys is if
We've been on holiday, we've got lives,
We have,
don't
yeah.
wives.
exactly. Well, what I'd like to know is, right, how many times have you guys watched me set up, right? How many times you guys watched me get everything ready?
Yeah.
If I was to suddenly fall ill half an hour before an episode
chance.
and say, we've got Charlie McLean on with Richard Patterson, right? So we've got the two godfathers of Scotch whisky, and I can't make it, but I've left all the kit at Diggers. You guys just need to get it set up and start recording.
It would be recorded on my iPhone on that tripod, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
You've watched me set up for over 100 episodes.
I will say that for the first 20 episodes, I used to offer, Graham, can I help you set up? And you go, no.
Yeah, I've got my way. I'm
So-
pretty particular. in
So
fairness.
that was it. And then after that, I was like, well, I'm going to pretend. I'm no longer going to pretend I even wanted to help out in the first
You
place.
just drink
The
drams.
good thing about 100 episodes is we've been to the Diggers an awful lot as well.
We have. And I'll tell you what,
Yes.
if you were to look at it, I broke this
But
down.
we've been home and away.
We have been home and away.
We've
had
been
some
home
good
and
ones.
away. We've had
But I've
some
broken
away.
this down if you were to take everything on an average.
Aye.
So 100 episodes, that's 9,000 minutes, right? Now, I know that they say that you need to get 10,000 hours in to become a true expert at something. So I think if we can get 10,000 minutes, we'll be sort of semi-pro. I think. If we get 10,000 minutes, because that works out 150 hours. If you were to listen to every episode back to back, it would take you 6.25 days.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. So
There's
almost
no
almost
more global pandemics coming back.
exactly. Oh, you know, I feel you'd be in overtime if you were working a working week. 300 on average, 300 whiskies tasted between us, probably more. I was a bit conservative with how many whiskies we
Yeah.
average on an episode. So that works out at 10,500 ml of whiskey.
Please drink responsibly.
Please drink and podcast responsibly, because that works out again roughly 15 full 70 CLs. So
Yeah, we've definitely drank a bit more than that, I think. But
that's
still a good number.
if you were to drink all the whiskey that we've had in Scotch at the Balmoral, it would cost you an absolute fortune. But because they only do 25 millilitres, measures, that would be 420 drams.
Wow.
Yeah, 420 drams.
100 episodes, 420 drams.
Yeah, there you go. We've had some great guests. We've had
some brilliant Grace.
Some fantastic memories. We've drank a lot of very, very good whiskey. And no, it's been...
had some brilliant Grace, and we've had Fraser Souness on twice.
Yeah.
I actually thought that for 100 episodes I would bring some brilliant whiskey as well.
Yes.
So I've not told you about what I've brought, and I think a lot of the whiskies, whiskey stories, and good whiskey is good company. You boys are all right company nowadays.
Done all right, yeah.
Actually, I preferred you when you knew less. There's no doubt.
We're catching up now, aren't we?
But I brought 3 drams for us to kind of go throughout the podcast, and we've got some questions from listeners, viewers, everything, which is brilliant as well. And also say that it's been really nice, whether you go to festivals or just, obviously now that I'm working back in the on-trade, a lot of people coming in and saying, hi, how are you?
Well, the worst thing for me is people say hi and I don't know who they are. And that really stresses me out.
Well, it was it was a year ago, because this weekend is as we're recording this weekend is the Edinburgh Whisky Festival, and unfortunately we can't make it this year, so we're gutted about that. But we were at that Whisky Festival, and
that was the origin, really.
Some random lady came up to us and just went, "Oh my God, you guys are in my living room every week." And it was Nadia. Shout out to Nadia.
Nadia Douglas,
Nadia, great to have met you there. And it was just surreal. And then,
it's been 2 years.
Yeah. That was a year.
That was last year. She came up to us.
But it's been 2 years since you guys first went.
Yeah.
No.
When we started the podcast, no?
No longer. Because wait a minute.
Yeah, 2 years.
Was it 2 years?
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years. And I complained. I've mentioned it at the Indie Bottle Spotlight with Fraser Souness. I complained that day. Because
too many indie bottlers.
There was too many indie bottlers. And I don't get it. I don't understand. Why would you drink a dram at cask strength? Why would you drink a dram?
Back then why would you drink something that wasn't Scotch single malt?
100%, yeah. But even if it was Scotch single malt, I'd be saying, why would you drink it from an indie bottler when you could just have it from a distillery? Surely it would be better if it came from the source. Not that distillery OBs aren't. There's no difference between which one's better. But at the same time, I just didn't understand it.
I get it.
The journey that we've been on, Angus, the whiskey journey.
It's totally changed, because I remember when you were there, and it was like, well, there was an indie bottler that had a Kolila, but then there was another indie bottler that had a Kolila. Why would I want to try 2 different Kolilas?
Yeah, exactly. Angus, how many pieces of liquid do you think you've had in your mouth?
Nice. Now, only really old listeners will remember that.
I've had a lot of pieces of liquid in my mouth, I can tell you. Graham.
And have you tried the beef?
I haven't tried the beef yet. One day I'll try the beef. One day when we go to Isla, we'll try the beef.
Let's just put that question in straight away. Somebody on Instagram replied to a post we put up today saying, what is the most WTF moment from the podcast? And I suggested it was Angus hearing about whiskey judging and saying to Megan Murdoch, how many pieces of liquid can you put in your mouth in one day?
Yeah. It was,
I mean, if you watch that episode, which is one of the first episodes I was recorded, actually with the camera,
if
you watch that moment, me and you just look at each other.
Sometimes the words come out of my mouth before I form them in my brain.
I think
that was definitely one of those times.
A WTF moment?
Conor O'Keefe's
Priest and a Ginger Boy.
Priest and a Ginger Boy. Powers.
That was
a cracking line, cracking moment, and a story that you didn't know where it was going to go. And I think that was a bit like, wow. But also, I think, there's WTF moments as well where, remember you and I on the pod, and Angus was it was your mum's birthday.
Yes.
Shout out to Nicola Shepherd.
So Jake came on.
Jake came on and brought two drams, and we tried them, and then he went out to tell us it was Rosebank and Little Mill.
Yeah.
And we both. There's the reaction, because we both just burst out laughing. It went, Angus is going to be raging.
it was just laughter straight away.
It was great.
And I mean, the first time we had Chuck Kerr on the podcast,
a lot of that was WTF.
Everything he said was a WTF moment.
My granny told me I had to go and check if my cousin's okay in Taiwan. So
my gran sent me to Taiwan for a long weekend.
Yeah.
And by the time he's acclimatized to the time, he was
setting up the olive oil company.
That's too embarrassed. Still to this day, that's one of the highest listens that we've had on the pod.
That's incredible.
And so that question is actually from our friend the Drambler.
Yes.
So he asked, most WTF moment. Then he said, what's the top 3 whiskey stories moments for your personal from the first 100 episodes? It's a hard question to go straight into.
Top 3 whiskey stories moments. Well, first of all, Charlie Hume, who's over in Cayman Islands.
Yes.
he told a great story with one of his 3 drams, and I'd recommend, because I'm not going to retell it, but one of the things about that is there'll be a certain amount of people who listened to that episode before I got a chance to edit it after it had been published. Because I received a message from somebody
asking to remove most of the story.
Could you please remove my details from this story, as I don't want to get into any more trouble than I'm already in. So shout out to Charlie Hume for that. That was great. I really enjoyed stopping everything I was doing during that Tuesday afternoon and having to re-edit the podcast and re-put it. But a great story all the same. Look for Charlie's story there.
There's been so many amazing moments in the 100 episodes. I quite like moments, you're not going to believe this, where I'm surprised or proven wrong.
Yeah, love that.
And that's why I got this in front of me. This is the woven CX.
Oh, is it the coffee?
This is the coffee whiskey sugar thing. I'm like, I don't drink coffee. Why would you do this? And it was in this room.
Hazel came in and brought it in.
Yeah, Hazel McLeod brought it in. And if you watch the last 20 minutes of that podcast in this room, it's just me topping up my glass with our bottle of that.
In fact, I think is it not because of that episode there's now signs visibly down here that just says not for Ross?
Because it turns out that the homemade that was also sitting on the thing was actually Kev's for display. And I was Hazel's brought homemade, brilliant.
What about yourself, Ang? What kind of moments have you had on the pod?
Oh, loads. I would say getting to go to the distilleries has always been a highlight.
Yeah,
like the first proper distillery we went to and actually had a look round would have been Portaleith, which was just it was great to actually be going around the distillery. I'd never been to Portaleith before, so that was great. But I think the Tomatin one.
The Tomatin one was a laugh.
The Tomatin one
if you
was
get a chance,
just something else.
Watch the Tomatin video. Chuck banging his head, getting locked out. There was just so much.
It was just we were so giddy going around. We were just high on life.
If you do listen to the podcast and you don't necessarily watch the podcast on YouTube, the Tomatin episode is one that really you have to watch.
Yeah.
I know
because it's not an episode, because people might be listening to that going, I can't remember a Tomatin episode. It's video only. It's a vlog.
Yeah, it was like a school trip.
It was
just
it really was. We were hyper. It was 10:30 in the morning and we'd arrived at Tomatin Distillery.
Libby Joe.
She didn't have a clue what she was getting herself into.
But she was a great sport.
She took it well.
Actually.
She really did.
Yeah.
In fact, that WTF moment as well was probably that on that same trip, walking into the Dornoch Distillery. You'd explained to us you'd been, I hadn't been. I do try as best as possible to be as ignorant as I possibly can with this podcast. People might wonder, like, these guys, they really act up so well by pretending not to do any preparation.
I mean, you do very little prep.
Very, very, very little prep. To the point where sometimes I'll not even check our guest's actual job title.
Yeah.
But it's not done in ignorance in terms of
no,
I don't
care.
You
don't want to spoil
I want it to be. I want everything to be a surprise, and you were trying to explain to us, like, and I said no wait, because one of the things that you said on that trip was on the Friday we were seeing Tomatin, which at one time was the biggest distillery in Scotland.
In the world.
For production. So you're saying to go from that to, and I said, right, Ross, that's plenty. Let's wait and see. And the Saturday morning on camera when we walked in, I was genuinely a bit like, right, I knew it was going to be small, but I had absolutely no idea it was going to be like this.
And I think again, it's quite interesting. There's obviously a lot of that. We get a lot of chat and setting up with guests beforehand. Yeah. And for people that listen regularly, there'll be quite often when if I can't make it, but maybe I've arranged a guest to come on that I'll say, X, Y, and Z. These things are worth focusing on or talking about, or maybe make sure you talk about this. But most of the time it is, we might know them, we might not know them, maybe we met them at a festival, maybe they've approached us now, which is great. And they come in and you go, so what's your job title? And where do you want to start? And what's the journey? Yeah. Danny Dyer was a great example of that.
Fun,
because we knew he was Global Grants Ambassador before he came to us. But I had no idea that he'd won it in a competition and any of that story. Getting to find these stories out and meet these individuals and hear their stories on the podcast has been invaluable.
But also, we've created our own stories. Like I said, our story of, hiring the whiskey wagon and driving up to Dornoch.
I just died.
You were very ill. But I actually, on that subject, Danny Dyer, what dram were we drinking on episode 1? 99 episodes ago.
What dram? Look, did we all start with the same dram? We did. We started for Grant's 25-year-old.
25-year-old
which led us on to another WTF moment. What the fuck? was bringing out our very own blend. And when the opportunity came, our own first ever and only bottling so far, and when the opportunity came, when Greg Urquhart from Rare Find said, here's what we've got, and he went through his inventory, and I remember going back, and I can't remember exactly what the other options were, but I'll be in the group chat if I were to look back. There was there was a Balblair, I think, in there.
Yeah.
And I think we sort of looked at it, and I said, but there is a 25-year-old blend.
How cool is that?
And we were like, 25-year-old blend being the first dram that we had on the podcast, it made so much sense. And the bottle I've got in front of me is actually probably one of the last bottles, which has already been taken by Kev, who's going to have it behind the bar. And so there's none left. We've sold.
And to be fair, that just goes to show that 99 episodes ago, you guys were very trusting. Yeah. You came, hi Ross, thanks. We'll see what this is like. What should we have? And I remember seeing it. The Grant's 25. It was £8 a dram.
9.
Was it 9? Was it
£9? Aye.
And I had it on it, and I said, "We'll have 3 of them." And you were probably thinking, blended whiskey.
Well, there was an element of, I like the fact that we did that.
Have you ever went back and listened to episode 1, by the way, gentlemen?
No, I haven't.
Hang on a second.
I mean, my thoughts at the time would probably be 25. Anything with 25 has got to be amazing.
Yeah.
Which is probably not true.
Absolutely.
But, I've not listened back to episode 1. I can remember a lot of what I said on it. Which is probably why I haven't listened back to it.
Wait a second here.
It's interesting to me that when we get new listeners, viewers, that they go back, and some of them do go back.
Well, you see it every now and then.
Yeah.
Hang on, here we go.
Is this going to be an audio? How bad the audio was at the time as well?
Wait a second, it's not.
Have you got a connection?
I don't think I do, actually.
See, while you're trying to work that out, let me pull out the first dram of your 100 episode flight, okay?
Yes, well, that I would say we are dramming. I've just about. In fact, keen viewers will know I'm wearing a lanyard.
You are indeed. A very sensible choice of attire, Graham.
And actually a branded lanyard, because I think we had a bit of a nerve with quite a few people.
Aye, we mentioned lanyards a bit too often that episode.
Ross,
if I hear lanyard one more time.
Yeah.
So let's not spend too long on the lanyards.
I have a Tree Cara lanyard, which was gifted to me by Ryan from Tree Cara, who had heard the episode and went, you guys need to stop hammering lanyards, and I've got some for you.
Well, that's because he's probably bought 1,000 of them.
He did. He's bought a lot of them. He's got a lot of them. And what he does is, if I think,
sorry, Ryan.
If anyone does have a Tree Cara lanyard, I would say wear it to your festivals, right? Because Ryan, if he notices you wearing your Tree Cara one, I think you get a wee special under the table dram as a sort of.
Fair.
See, you've got our merch on, so there you go. But there you go. Right, Ross. Anyway,
right,
what have you got so far? Sorry.
Well, this is what I'm about to introduce. I actually poured a little bit for myself, and then I had the coffee.
I will mention what I've got then. So I trusted Ross. Ross is it's always great to be in the pub with Ross because it makes it a bit easier to choose. He pointed this out, and I've pretty much finished it.
And I've never had it before, but I've seen it on the shelf. I'm getting it in this week.
Yeah.
What is it?
It is Ardnamerica 2. So
Ardnamerica 2.
Ross was explaining to me that about 7 or 8 years ago, Ardnamerica put new stills in a different still house, or built a new still
basically
house.
Double production.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, because it's not open to the public, they took their still house and duplicated it.
Hold the mic to your mouth.
Right, sorry. I know it's
just 3D printed a new one.
Really? Just literally completely duplicated it.
So basically, they've taken the still house and said we need to make more whiskey, and so they've started distilling it on the same site but with new stills in 2018.
Right.
Now they've never released this whiskey, by the sounds of it.
Right.
But Ardnamerica was originally founded in 1825.
Okay.
So we're looking at the 200-year anniversary. And so under a Singleton bottle, not Singleton, Signatory bottling, we have got a 7-year-old Ardnamerica No. 2 inaugural release.
Wow.
I think that's bloody cool.
That is cool. That is really cool.
And we'll see how long they're allowed to call it Ardnamerica No. 2, because somebody's going to kick off about that.
Yeah, so Ardnamerica have been still releasing their standard, so they're still producing.
Amazing stuff,
it. So is that effectively like almost them building a second distillery?
Yeah.
I didn't realise they were calling it a second distillery.
Right.
I thought they'd just upped production.
Which they probably have, but they'll
Well,
probably
it's interesting because
But then they've done this bottling. It's a single cask, or it's maybe not a single cask. It's an old 100 proof, 57.1%. First fill sherry. Does it taste like normal Ardnamerica?
It does. It's very similar to. I mean, very, very what you'd expect from Ardnamerica, really.
It's 40-something quid a bottle, maybe about £50 a bottle. 7-year-old, and technically an inaugural release, but from this distillery.
Yeah.
I find that fascinating because people have tried to do it before, I actually remember before the Shrewey distillery really came into reality, speaking to Phil and Simon Thompson when they talked about, we're going to get a second distillery. We've got this site just outside of Donnoch. And I said, right, so what are you going to call it? That's the first thing I asked them. I didn't even know me. They said Donnoch 2 was what their initial thought was. And they said, we don't think we'll be allowed to do that.
Why not?
Glen Grant done it previously. Kind of the Glen Grant A and Glen Grant B, or Glen Grant 1 and Glen Grant 2.
Bushmills kind of do, because you got old Bushmills.
And Clynelish done it, and Brora done it.
Right.
So when the new Clynelish distillery opened 50s, 60s, fairly modern, well, Brora was originally called Clynelish.
Right.
So they've actually swapped it over.
Clynelish got moved over to a new distillery, and the old distillery became Brora.
Really?
So everybody thinks of the old closed distillery. And so I believe, and I could be wrong, they trialled A and B or 1 and 2. And then Glen Grant done it 2, and they were told, you're not allowed to do that.
Really?
So to see Ardnamerica go Ardnamerica number 2 inaugural release, I thought, that's really cool. And so I'm getting it in, something a bit different.
I kind of like the idea that Phil and Simon doing just Donnoch 2. It just matches that. Like the story about, and it really annoys me.
Years ago, you know.
It really, really, really annoys me that until we did the Indie Bottle Spotlight with them, and they brought out the TBBSW.
Yes.
And I just didn't understand what TBBSW was, and it was like it's Thompson Brothers blended Scotch whiskey. We just couldn't really be bothered finding a name for it, so we just called it. And it was like the name that was on the Cask, TBB, like whatever it was used.
Yeah.
This is TBBSW. It's everybody in the bottling plant, or everyone doing the bottling new. I say bottling plant, the shed that they've got outside, or not the shed, but the small warehouse. But anyway, what dram have you brought?
Right,
for
well, I should explain. I've got one more.
Oh, sorry.
Very quickly, I got one more dram which you poured for me, Graham.
I've got that one.
You've got it as well. It's a 7-year-old Highland Park.
It's the Diggers.
It's the Diggers.
We've got to drink the Diggers dram.
Yeah,
Woodrow's
especially bottled by Woodrow's of Edinburgh.
And it ties in nicely for us because it is the Diggers independently bought. It's the Diggers
Whiskey Bar of the Year.
Whiskey Bar of the Year bottling by Woodrow's. Diggers, great pub. We've been recording 99% of our podcast episodes in here. Best, honestly, best whiskey bar in Edinburgh, with the second largest whiskey collection, but the largest open whiskey collection in Edinburgh. But also Woodrow's of Edinburgh, our first ever indie bottler from Indie Bottler Spotlight.
That's right. And Woody himself is a bit of a WTF moment, because what episode was it we were recording, and Mike Brown, and he just poked his head in, and it was just Woody.
You know what he said?
I can't remember what he said.
He whispered into your ear, "Whiskey's shite."
That's it. That was very much a WTF moment. Woody, mid-recording, just popped his head in and just went, "Whiskey's shite."
Just whispered in his ear.
Because she's quite a lot of times, see when you ask him, you go up to Woodrow's Edinburgh, speak to Woody and Megan at their stand, and he says, it's really good. He will often reply saying, it's no shite. It's no shite.
It's no pish.
It's no pish.
That's her tagline.
That's
her tagline.
Which I quite like. But yeah, just, I am a proud owner of a bottle of that as well.
Well, you were pouring it liberally and generously at the Indie Bottler Spotlight a couple of weeks ago.
That is delicious. I would be a proud owner of this if I had a bottle.
It's not left. In fact, I'll tell you what there is. There's 3 bottles up there I can see that all have labels on them, and that is the last of it.
Yeah.
That's the last of it.
I'm delighted to have a wee bit of Digger's history as well. This bottling I've brought in is an independent bottling from a bottler I don't believe we've ever spoken about before.
Brilliant.
And I don't think... Do you know, I might have brought this on the podcast before. I'll be really annoyed if I did.
Really hope you have.
I don't think either of you will ever have had this before.
Oh.
So I'm not saying it's absolutely delicious, but I think it's really interesting whiskey. So this bottle I'm bringing is from a bottle called Blackadder.
Oh, now we've had Blackadder has been mentioned as an independent bottler before.
This is, I believe, a German-based bottler.
Yeah, I think there's been a couple of What 3 drams.
One I could tell you right now, is it because we've got a challenge later on. But anyway,
this one here, imported to Las Vegas. This is a US exclusive single cask. Now, it's called the Raw Cask. I have actually filtered this whiskey, people see on camera, through cheesecloth, and I removed what felt like half a cask. In my opinion, this was still maturing in the bottle because of how much cask was left. They call it the Raw Cask because it must cut costs. This is the legendary, as it's named, Wardhead 32.
That is.
Wow.
What's a Wardhead?
That's a Glenfiddich, isn't it? Teaspoon Glenfiddich with Balvenie.
Correct.
Brilliant.
So Glenfiddich with Balvenie rather than Balvenie.
This is basically a 32-year-old single cask Glenfiddich.
Wow.
66 bottles produced just for the US market.
Wow.
And I was gifted this bottle very, very generously.
By anyone in particular?
A gentleman that I won't name because I don't know if he wants to be named or not,
No.
who comes over to Scotch and does private tastings.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And it's quite funny. He didn't know that I'd left Scotch. And he'd come back for the first time in over 2 years and said, Ross, I brought this bottle for you. Because I introduced him to Burnside. And this gentleman has travelled all over the US. He found this Wardhead, one of 66 bottles. And I think he bought 8 of them. And that took him all around the US to find the bottle.
Wow.
48.7%. So it's a blended malt to start, lads. Sorry about that.
Well, a blend.
And listen, it
a small one.
It might not be. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to give you.
I
know that's not.
I'm going to give you a nice pour because actually you'll see this bottle is over half done, and I've still never actually had a drink of this whiskey in the house. But as soon as I got this bottle, I thought I need to share this with people that have been really important to me.
That's very cool.
And so the last person that got it was Big Cam. I knew that would mean a lot to him as well.
Yeah.
But you lads absolutely qualify for that now.
Thank you very much.
So it threatens to be tropical.
It does.
It's quite tasty. It's not quite tomatin, but
it's that magic 30.
as I pour it down my face,
Well done, lads.
cheers, a little Wardhead, and that's the first of 3 drams. So
That's very nice.
it's nice. It's a bit different.
Blackadder appeared. It was George Keeble. I'm pretty sure. Which leads us on to the first challenge. I want you to do this systematically.
Oh, that's good.
I do feel that I do not have a good. I'm not like Ross, okay?
Sorry to hear that.
But I'm not like Ross in the sense that the recall that you have on distillery, distillery founding dates.
And I don't think I have any I get accused of having these kind of photographic memory, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I'm just sad.
Yeah. I've got good recall for facts and stuff. I've got a terrible recall for memories. I couldn't tell you who the last 5 guests were on the pod, basically.
Yeah.
But I can tell you.
I try really, really hard to brush up on whiskey knowledge, and I try and find. And I think everybody does have their thing, and I'm going to leave that to everybody because I know that like you guys at Scotch, I've been part of the game. I think we tried. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that got cut out of that road trip up to Tomatin, which was us desperately trying to go. You were just going through the yearbook and saying, I am this distillery, I was founded in this date, well, who am I? And then we had to try and work it out.
Yeah, and I managed to ruin it as well by...
was a Player Distilleries.
That was Player Distilleries, right.
I find that my recall has become, I don't know what it is. I can go, in my book here, 100 episodes of Whiskey Stories podcasts is in this book.
Yeah.
And I could look back and go, right, someone could mention a dram and I can go, that has been a what 3 drams. And I could pick whose what 3 dram it was. And I feel like I'm actually pretty decent. Hang on a second, I want to go.
Have one last look.
I want to go, I'm actually, because again.
I'm going to say, my dad has actually said to me before, Graham's recall for the previous episodes is unbelievable.
Aye.
There you go, true to form, no real, prep done. Our first recording was actually done on the 18th of October 2023. So we're not too far off.
Not far off at all.
Right, so that's page 1. That is page 1. I'll fold that over, right? That's episode 1. The rest of them, we've got 100 episodes in there.
And so you want a random
dram
stored, and you're going to tell me who it is.
Forgive the spelling as well, by the way. Bearing in mind that I'm trying to... Right, so you've picked one.
And so there's obviously some overlapping drams. So if I said something like Old Pulteney 17, you'd have more than one answer, maybe.
Mark Thompson was the first Old Pulteney 17 on that. He said it, and I remember the story. He said it reminded him of like his grandmother and all that kind of stuff.
Was he the first? Because we do not have maybe Greg Urquhart before that.
Greg Urquhart didn't do Pulteney 17.
Oh, did he not do Pulteney 17?
No, he didn't do Pulteney 17.
Okay.
That tells you about what my recall's like.
Greg Urquhart, I'm sure he did a Balvenie, but the story that really sticks out was Port Charlotte.
Yes, that's it. That's what
that one.
Yeah.
Right, Ross.
Okay, sorry, I'm almost there. I'm just... This is too... Because I want, obviously, you not to get it right.
Of course.
I would really enjoy that.
You would.
Yeah.
This is difficult.
Right, okay.
Right.
But it's a great story.
Right.
Monkey Shoulder.
Is this Les? Les, who told the story before he was travelling up to But him and his partner.
Arctic Whisky Club is.
Yeah, the Arctic Whisky Club. He told the story. Bought this bottle of Monkey Shoulder, and I kept it until I had a child for the first time. But that's sat on my shelf for 10 years, and through IVF and all that. Do you know something? That's probably one of the best whiskey stories that we've had on the podcast. That there's no.
As soon as I seen it, I think that was my favourite story at the time.
It's a great, and that's it. There's great stories where we've had some poignant stories like that one. We've had some really funny stories as well. But that one there, it sticks out. That's an easy one.
Well done.
Right, come on,
Angus, what you thinking?
He's trying to go back. I'll tell you what, I'll be knackered. I'll tell you the one that I'll be knackered with. If he says Balvenie Caribbean Cask, I'll be knackered because that has probably been our most.
Yeah.
What 3 drams? That's been a dram that so many people have had.
Okay then. I'm gonna. To be honest. This is not great radio at all.
Come on,
this is terrible.
Any whiskey.
But then
The problem
is I can't remember any of these.
Well, it's got the name at the top.
Actually, I'll tell you one because there's a good story with this one. North British Signatory.
Oh. North British Signatory.
You know the story. North British Signatory.
I can't believe you've done it.
You know the story.
I know the story. North British Signatory. Is it Mark Davidson? No.
Yeah.
Is it?
How has he got that?
I know the story because he talks about the.
Well, that was a clue.
Yeah. But I think he's one of the only that's done the. He's only the only one that's done the North British. But there you go. Now we could sit here all night and do that. But I'll say I do want to say on the subject matter of WTF moments on the podcast and things like that. I have to do a shout out to some guys. I think WTF moment was Scott Moore.
Yeah,
doing his video of his whiskey bar. Shout out to Scott. Scott, when you sat there and thought, there's a guy in the middle of America, who looks far too old and far too sensible to be listening to us, right, about talking about whiskey. But he did this great video, and in the video he sort of just laced it full of whiskey stories,
references and in-jokes.
He's using this, but.
But he also started a trend because he started it, but then we had the Whiskey Shed with Bob Cutton. We had Craig Darling.
But then
video,
and he kept us up to date with some brilliant things.
Even his weekend drum call, weekend drum roll call this weekend references the tasting with Gordon McPhail we done, where I suggest about Ardmore being drinking from
like
a puddle.
Yeah,
and he's got this old Ardmore and he's stuck it in a bird bath.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's
just wild.
Absolutely worth commending Scott Moore's fantastic effort.
Dedication to the pod.
But then he sent a picture into the pod, and this is when it does start to get mental.
I mean, he'll be delighted now that I'm on less episodes.
Shut up, Raz. But he sent. I'm trying to find I took a screenshot of it, but he put a post up a couple of weeks ago, and it needed to be shouted out. And the reason it hasn't been shouted out until now is that we haven't actually recorded an episode properly, where we've been able to get a shout out for him. But he sent sent a screenshot of him with Carl Crafts, who sat here.
Yep.
With him.
So
with a lanyard on. He's got a lanyard on.
He'd driven from Tennessee to St. Louis, Missouri. Is that right?
600 miles. Where's the screenshot? I'm trying to find the bloody screenshot of that. 600 miles to pick up his Ardnamerica Release. And I think just to do that is incredible. Now, look, I'm not going to try and take any form of major credit for that. I'd love to. You know me, I'm quite shy and quiet with these kind of things.
Same.
Yes.
But the fact is, maybe Scott would have done that anyway, because what we do know is from Scott's bar in his house, from what we see Scott doing, he loves his whiskey and all that.
Dram hunting.
Hunting. So there's every chance that Scott would have done that anyway. But it's the fact that it's just brings the community together.
It's a massive effort, isn't it?
600 mile round trip. But what I love is he did have he took his own lanyard with him, and it was he was still able to go. I've just travelled 600 miles and I've brought my it was that sort of level of planning and detail. But that leads me on to the next thing I've got here, because I've got some drams as well.
Oh, wow.
And there's another bottle in front of us here. We've got listeners in Edinburgh, Glasgow, we've got listeners down south, and we keep an eye every now and then on where the listeners are popping up. And
all
Scott
over the world,
Miller is a listener in the States. We got a message last week, 2 weeks ago, from the Tampa Bay Whiskey Club.
Yep.
Roberto, who messaged me, who seems to run their Twitter account. I think he's maybe in charge of the Tampa Bay Whisky Club. He said, hey, there's 5 of us coming over from Tampa to Scotland. We're going to Edinburgh and we're travelling around. We're going up to Speyside. We're going to Campbelltown. Mm-hmm. Is there any chance we can hook up with you guys? You guys were busy. I went away, met them in Diggers, in the dugout, where it all started. They gave them a walk 3 drams, whiskey stories tasting, which they love. But what's great is they came bearing gifts. And one of the gifts they gave us was a dram each of the Ardnamerica Tour bottling.
That's cool.
So we have now the Ardnamerica, which in this very room we sat with Carol Crafts, Angus, and he was talking about it. And I thought, what a cool thing that they do. So Carol's, not only has Carol met up with Scott Moore through the Whisky Stories podcast, and they've shared a dram, or Scott's taken a bottle of this stuff. But now
the whiskey's come full circle.
It's come back here. So we've got the Ardnamerica, Ardnamerican, so 57.8%. I don't know much about this dram.
I know nothing because I didn't think I'd ever get to try it.
Well, that's it. Because because
I think Carl did talk about it.
He did.
Just because it's the second Ardnamerica, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, do you want, which glass are you?
Yeah, that's fine.
You want the whole lot?
No.
I'll take the other half there.
There we go.
Thank you, Graham.
Thank you,
Tampa Whisky Club.
Well,
amazing.
they came in and they came into
Scotch. Yeah, happy birthday, Ali.
Yeah, Ali, who celebrated 72nd birthday.
That's it. So Venezuelan born, living in Tampa, and
they were great fun.
And do you know what? They're trying to basically make an inclusive space or environment for people to drink single malt whiskey, because he says people do buy it, but people don't go to whiskey tastings. There isn't really an atmosphere in which people can go and learn and sit down with like-minded people or people with that common interest. So they've been able to build that community, which is amazing.
Oh, and by the way,
they've only been going for a year.
Really? Well, if you look at Ali's whiskey collection, whiskey in his house.
Yeah, these are big whiskey fans.
I mean, it looked genuinely. I mean, for example, if he came in here, his whiskey collection would look. This would make Ali's whiskey collection would probably make what we've got in this room look small.
The texture on that, lads.
It's absolutely incredible.
Roll that round your mouth.
That is
you
just...
can chew that.
Oh.
That is beautiful.
Once again, Ardnamerica kind of done it, eh?
They really have.
I think it was Simon Smith said that it's just annoying now how... there's a bit
of
smoke in the back of that.
Yeah.
Like, barbecue sauce smoke. There you go, I'm trying.
It is sweet and smoky.
But Ardnamerican is like that because we have a mutual friend, Graham, that we were in the company of on Saturday. And we had a few drams and...
It's delicious.
You know, we were trying them all. And you poured an Ardnamerican for this guy, the AD, just the 50-50. And it was, if you see his face, it's the same reaction as he tried it and he just went,
aye.
What is this?
It's a cracking whiskey.
And it was Ardnamerican. And he'd never tried Ardnamerican
just
before.
Annoyingly good now. That's what it becomes. I mean,
very, very tasty.
And that's fantastic. And they also gave us a bottle, which we'll all have to drink. Oh, so there goes the
There goes the book. I'll go and
this is a Whiskey Club Tampa, independently bottled specifically. This is...
So it's not an independent bottling. This is
It's not an independent.
This is an official bottling, but it's a single cask selected by them, I believe.
Right, so it's a Westland single cask, American single malt.
Yeah, which again quite unusual American.
All
single
the way
malt.
from Seattle, Washington.
Yeah,
I think that'd be the first American single malt on the channel. On the podcast.
I think it might be, but it's a crack. Well, I'm looking forward to drinking that as well. But no, so again, WTF moments is the fact that we've got like these
people coming in on Saturday saying we're from Florida because we got a table for 5. I go, well, that's not uncommon.
Yeah.
But when they go, hi Ross, nice to meet you. We listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
I go, oh my goodness.
Yeah, we sat and chatted to them, and then they've got shouted.
I apologise. I'm sorry you listened to the podcast.
Like, but then Bob Cutting's.
Oh, what a guy!
Lawrence Morgan.
Yeah, Lawrence Morgan. I mean, talking about WTF moments. When Lawrence asked us to sign his bottle,
I've got a video of it.
I'd not had time to practice my signature before he asked that question.
I'm actually quite disappointed because I didn't make it to that tasting.
No, that was Pintail tasting.
You know, my very fragile ego had hoped that when Lawrence Morgan came back up to meet me, he'd bring the bottle so that I could complete the signatures.
Yeah.
Not ours. He's got the stars.
He's got the headline act there.
He's got the stars. So.
Brilliant. So there you go. Right, listener questions.
Listener questions.
So we've got some more listener questions on Facebook.
Again, and I do practice my signature.
The Facebook, the Facebook group. I mean, it just never fails.
While you're pulling something up, can I pour the second dram?
I need to get another glass, but I'm really starting to.
I'm
barked here.
I'm starting to get barked up here
So,
too.
second dram of the 100 episode flight. Angus is excited. Audio listeners, I have
I'm
pulled the
very
bottle
excited.
out there. So I have not opened this bottle. This is the Bunnahabhain Tourist Math, which is their new kind of Fagial series that came out this year. The Westering Home Collection, Fagial 2025. Now I tried, they had a 19-year-old and kind of cognac or armagnac, they had some old stuff, but this was my favourite by far. Totally unpeated Bunnahabhain. In bourbon casks, moved to Paulo Cortado for a few years, if I remember correctly. But for me, what I liked about it was the bourbon really shines through, which you don't get in Bunnahabhain.
Yeah.
Bunnahabhain's all about European,
Yeah.
isn't it? So I think that's what this was.
I've never drank an awful lot of Bunnahabhain.
I'm gonna say,
And that for me was something that always surprised me. I remember once, it may have been an episode that was recorded and never went out. I bought you just a Bunnahabhain 12 because I was like, you'll like this, Graham. And I think you did.
Yeah,
but,
I didn't mind it. Yeah, because it was at the time when I wasn't.
It's one of those drams, but it's not peated.
I know, that's what I mean.
But it's one of these drams I'm surprised you never kind of
to.
got yourself
Yeah,
onto.
me too.
I don't know what it is. I don't know, but it's something. There's a lot of Isle of whiskey I want to try.
I also say, Whiskey Dad,
Thank you very much.
some of this will be coming your way as well. I'm not actually told him about this, but I know that you'll like it.
Superb.
So a wee bit of colour on it. This is a non-age statement. It was, I think, about £100 a bottle, was it?
I'm running out of
Thank you
ideas
very
what my
much,
drams
Ross.
are.
But I needed a reason to open it, truthfully. And this is a bottle I needed a reason
Well,
to
you're
open.
good. You're good to us. And do you know something? I tell you another thing. What I really like is there's been moments on the podcast where I've kind of looked at you and to check your reaction to then fully appreciate and understand where we are. And a moment that really does stick out is a Loman's Still at Inchderny.
Yeah.
Right, wowzers.
It wasn't just Ross. I mean, Chuck Kerr was absolutely like a kid in the candy shop. It was one of those ones where I have to admit,
It's like Graham slipped LSD and nobody.
Graham and I,
Oh my God.
Graham and I think we're having the same reaction. It was like, right,
That's a nice.
that's a still in a slightly different shape. Whereas Ross and Chuck were absolutely just
Baffle plates.
But there's certain
That's my
times.
safe word.
Baffle plates.
But it's like, I'd never seen a Loman Still.
Yeah.
And I've told hundreds of people about it. And it was a real, for me, like, I understand that the mash filter's exciting and they're different techniques and what they do, and it's come from TNA, but to see a Loman Still was like the best early birthday, early Christmas present I could have got. And I understand that if you don't love production out with maturation, you must be like, what the
I'm starting to. This is the thing is that
I'm very interested in production.
This is quite strong, by the way, lads. 50.
I did find it very interesting, and actually the whole Inchdarney thing was a complete honour. If we're being honest,
It really was great.
Getting behind, because I don't know if
part of a release of the first ever single malt.
I don't know if I told this story on a pod. I've told this story before. Before we started doing the pod, Graham drove me up to the gates of Inchdarney and said, "There's a distillery in Glenrothes, but it's all very secret. It's all behind closed doors. Nobody knows what goes on. Nobody goes in. Nobody goes out." And we kind of went up, peered over the gates, had a look over. And that was it. And if you'd told me in 2 years' time we'd have been having a kind of exclusive tour around the place, I wouldn't have believed you.
Absolutely.
A wee bit of water helps us Bunnahabhain, by the way. I think the nose
Bunnahabhain is very nice.
It's like artificial whiskey fudge to me. It's got that
There's a bit of that.
there's,
Right.
there's vanilla, but there's richness.
We'll
Sorry,
start off with a straight up one. I've got Cody actually features a couple of times.
Cody Reynolds,
this is
friend of the show.
Facebook group here. So first of all, Jason Hargreaves, I'll say random one: whiskey and food, chocolate cheese dinners with paired whiskey. What's the best, worst, weirdest? We've talked about this before.
We have. I've never really. I know you've gone for it, Ross. I've never really tried cheese and whiskey. I'm keen to, but I've never really gone for it. I have to admit, if I'm having cheese, I like pork with cheese. I like pork with cheese, and it's really hard for me to go. If I was having cheese, it would be really hard for me to say, you know what, I'm going to go for a whiskey because I do love a pork.
Well,
I'm okay with that. Honestly, truthfully, Angus, I'm probably the same as you. I would still grab a port beforehand. But what I found to see I like blue cheese. So I like really big blue cheese, Hebridean blue, Larrack blue. It's kind of my favourite. And if I was doing not a port, doing a big European oak cask whiskey, it's just great. absolutely great. Provided, I mean, especially because you probably had a glass of wine beforehand, all the rest of it, that wee bit extra strength's good. Seafood's a weird one because I've been trying it more recently to have light, fresh bourbon cask whiskies with seafood.
Yeah. Okay.
And I want it to work. I'm still not sure I've convinced myself, and I really want to convince myself. But that's been interesting. I think the weirdest one I said that did work, I mentioned it at the podcast before, was a Nile of White, tomato, and like burrata salad that I had with an old Pulteney.
All right, okay.
And this was so fresh, it did work. And I still think, for Jason's question, that cold food and whiskey can absolutely work, and you can make the justification for it.
You've said this before.
I think the issue is warm proteins. Nobody wants a dram with steak, lamb, chicken. You just don't.
It's a funny one.
It's the strength.
However, I will say, sort of, Craig Darling has said pickled onion crisp pair well with peated whiskey. There you are.
Interesting.
There you go. Okay. Right.
Interestingly, talking with food, whiskey, slight connection. I managed to bore the current wife the other day because we were in the shop.
Do you have your clothes on or off?
No, clothes were firmly on. But I was cooking. It was like a lentil and sausage casserole recipe I'd got, and I was like,
Nice.
it required sherry vinegar. And we had just recorded the episode a few weeks, and I said, "Do you know what's interesting? This sherry vinegar, quite possibly, this sherry was used to season a whiskey cask before it then became."
Yeah, right.
And I mean,
Angus, you're fantastic.
Well, absolutely.
I enjoy it. You wouldn't have bored me, Angus.
No.
Honestly, I'd had a second helping of that casserole.
Yeah. So there you
To
are.
support the industry, by the way.
This is what I said. I said we're supporting the whiskey industry by buying this vinegar. This vinegar, we're doing our bit for Jerez.
So I pickled on your crisp pair. Well, I would say that I'm going to look into the future. I'm not going to name the brand of crisp.
Right. Oh.
I reckon in the future.
We're not getting a crisp.
I reckon in the future.
Yeah, looking in your crystal ball, Graham.
It's a nightmare when I try to get in and out of the bath. But my crystal ball will tell me, right, that I think we will try crisps.
Crisps
on the very first time for the podcast.
Might feature heavily on a future episode.
Maybe in the next week or so.
Keep your eyes
I wasn't
peeled.
there, so that's why
there's a great
But
connection. There's a
say-
great whiskey connection to crisps.
But I would say it was a flavour, and I'm not, because I don't want to give away what the crisps were, but it actually was a treat. But one thing I will say is, you talk about hot food pairing with crisps. Tell us, Ross, what hot food have you had prior to coming down here into the Diggers' Vaults before we started out?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Cheese and ham toasty, the Diggers toasty.
The Diggers Toasty. I would say that as a way.
I paired it with a Glencadam 10. Actually, it's very good.
There you are. Look at that. Now, let's take this really highbrow now, okay? Cody Reynolds, a man who knows a thing or two about whiskey, has asked us a question.
His wife knows a lot.
His wife knows an awful lot. Would you say more?
Yes.
You're saying
I would say more.
more. You say that Cody's wife knows more about whiskey.
1,000,000%.
Shout out to Moa.
Moa Reynolds.
Moa Reynolds, Swedish whiskey girl, who's been a guest
on the
show
pod,
as well.
yeah.
But Cody has asked, what whiskey bottle would be the best weapon to fight off a bear?
No.
100 episodes in, Cody, and that's what you think us with.
Well,
100 episodes in. We've tried some fantastic whiskies on this podcast. We've had some of the most. We've had master blenders and everybody, award-winning master blenders. Shout out to.
I've had his master blender on.
We've had his master blender on.
yeah. It's an
And this
important
is the question you need to say to us.
Abby Graham, it's an important question.
It is an important question.
I've got an answer.
Don't shut the question. Ross, go.
For me, it has to be an Octomore.
Oh.
Now, there's.
Why?
Well, forget about the whiskey for a second. On my shelves in Scotch, Octomore is by far and away the tallest bottles I have.
Right.
So we'll keep the bear at the furthest length.
Okay.
Also,
You're going
Octomore.
to have to throw it like a javelin. You're right.
Also, I thought this was hand-in-hand combat.
Well,
I didn't think about throw.
I
You're
don't
just
know.
going to throw a bottle and run away.
Well.
Surely the answer is, what bottle would you kill the bear with? Beat them to death?
Well, we don't want to kill bears on the pod, you know.
Please protect bears.
Bears.
Please fight bears with whiskey bottles responsibly.
Aye.
For me,
I mean, if
Octomore-
you're in a situation where it's life or death, then, you know, obviously
Throw
look,
the
after,
bottle, I
look
guess.
after yourself, obviously.
But Octomore always cash strength, very potent. I don't know what bear spray has in it, but I imagine it's something along the lines of Octomore.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Right,
And
go ahead.
and it's a very tall bottle, so for that kind of fencing technique, I imagine.
So
it'd
you're going for
go
length.
with-
You're
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep the beer.
I mean, the answer can't be this bottle of whiskey because I'm going to chuck it
Well,
away.
interesting, because Craig Darling did say another. Craig Darling, probably Glenn Ruthis, just launch it like a grenade.
Oh, that's true, because it's dumpy and round.
I'm going to say the bear probably wouldn't mind.
Yeah. Well, Graham, do you have a suggestion?
Well, I'm going to go through some of the other Dougie Liddell.
Because I have a few theories.
Go on then.
Well, I know one of the theories.
There are I just want to say, there's some really, really good questions that we should ask.
Well,
so let's not say
No. Let's dwell on this a wee bit. Somebody suggested for pure heft of bottle. I think someone mentioned Inchterny because it's a big, heavy bottle.
King Lassie.
King Lassie, yeah, and you could use that as a weapon.
You could start with a stopper.
But what I would say as well, if you maybe you don't want to bludgeon the bear, maybe you want to draw blood, right? So So you want to break the glass.
Yeah,
maybe you just want a tall round.
Stabby.
Easy to break the glass.
And stab the bear.
Easier to break than a King Glassy. If you had a rock next to a King Glassy, you went like that, just go dong. Whereas if you had a tall round, you could just go and then stab the bear in the nose. Give it a bloody nose and it'll be off running home. The other suggestion I had when I thought of this was I said, go the Royal Mile in Edinburgh, one of the really tatty whiskey shops. There's surely got to be a whiskey bottle decanter in the shape of a salmon. And then if you've got that, the bear's gonna think, there's my dinner.
It's a great answer.
And then that'll buy you enough time to
There's
run away.
definitely decanters of Edinburgh Castle that could entertain the bear.
Nessie.
There is a Nessie. Have you seen the Nessie?
A Nessie decanter.
The Nessie decanter looks distinctively like a shite.
All right. A drobby.
Yeah.
There we go. Anyway, a drobby decanter wouldn't be a bad one. Right. We've lost.
So that was my
I would like to
theory.
apologise to the listeners and viewers.
100 episodes. We made it this far before it descended.
Before the bear community came out. The bear community is something different. The bear community is something different.
Right. Anyway, we've gone down our bear hole, and we need to sort of get ourselves out of this. I think the King Lassie bottle probably does win it. It's a heavy going.
Fine. Yeah,
energy
I'll be with
bottle.
that. Let's move on.
Aye, okay.
Yeah,
right, let's move on from that. Thank you, Cody, for your great question there.
Yeah.
Will you be at Edinburgh Whisky Festival again this weekend? Nadia Douglas, I'm afraid not, Nadia. Apologies for that. Do you think a whisky festival where the ticket price was lower but you had to pay per tasting would be accepted over here? Interesting. When we were at Lomond and Clyde Whisky Festival,
yes.
Ola from Tricara was there, and they had a Breval 30 on their stand.
And they'd only brought one bottle.
Only one, but it was a $5 for a 10ml measure. And she said she was very surprised, pleasantly surprised,
at how many
people were willing just to tap a little. She had a wee sun-up machine, just tap it, go £5, and you got your dram of that 30-year-old whiskey. And I think for a $5,
it's a great. I'm getting in some fantastic whiskey.
Yeah.
And I would say that for the right whiskey, I think people are quite happy to pay a price like that at a whiskey festival.
I think the issue is Scotland and Scottish people.
Yeah,
and I think as well. Yeah, you're right.
People with lanyards on,
at the end of the day,
just walking about thrusting drams in front.
If you're paying a $5 at 14 different stalls or 10, 12 different stalls, very quickly it becomes an expensive.
Genuinely, I think, having seen it at Sofia Whisky Fest, you get a better clientele in terms of people who are not getting hammered and they're taking whiskey more seriously. From a whiskey brand point of view, I believe that in a European whiskey festival, it's really what they're referencing. What you're said is listened to more. Because people are paying for the dram.
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
I always think it's more important.
Yeah.
A lot of time, Scottish festivals, what have you got? What's most expensive? What's the oldest? Put it in my glass.
Yeah.
And listen, we're part of that. And how good is it? It's brilliant.
Great,
it's
right?
brilliant.
Yeah.
But I think it's wrong. And I think that the rest of Europe does it right. And you go to Germany,
spoiled.
you go to Holland, but also people appreciate the product more
Right.
than we appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd say
because we £40 a ticket, you get an unlimited whiskey for 6 hours. That should never be how it's seen.
No,
it should
not
be
all
about,
you can drink.
It should be, I wonder what's on offer today. I wonder what we can get. And so normally ticket price is much lower in Europe, and then you pay by the dram. And also the dram price is always very low.
Yeah.
So you're still getting everything for
Well,
3 to 10 euros, but you're getting a proper dram of it, and you're going, right, tell me about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's more valuable for the brands and for the consumers.
And it comes back to Jason Hargreaves' question, which triggered the lanyard chat. We spent probably far too long talking about lanyard chat than than the the crux of his question, which actually was at the time. You know, is there a whiskey festival plan? Can you get a sort of plan put together for what you're going to do? And there's people that I've met that we talked about this, and I think if you knew you were having to pay per dram, bearing in mind after a few drams you could just get silly. You know, you could just be like, oh, it's tap and go. I'll just quickly tap that one. But I think if you knew, and maybe knew, right, there's this, that, the next thing, and there's a conversation that we're going to have later on about, you know, whiskey festivals and what they could look like and things like that. Going to quickly move on to a couple other questions here. Stuart McGregor, who's very active, and also Stuart, congratulations on losing all the weight. I know that we've been in the Whiskey Stories chat. Well done for losing. He's followed a very similar as your dad there, is trying to reward himself with whiskey if he gets over below a certain weight. You have to give us each your number one dram and your absolute no-go dram that you have had in the last 100 episodes.
Okay.
I can name you the no-go dram very quickly.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it was one that you brought, Graham. And it came from India. And it was absolutely foul. I can't remember which one specifically it was.
That's
it was like the Royal,
shout out to our Indian listeners.
Royal Stag, maybe?
There was Royal Stag, there was Royal Challenger, which was a challenge. No, we didn't have Royal Challenger because I didn't bring that back, but there was three.
I think it might have been Royal Stag. I can't remember. If you listen back to the episode, one of the three was very, very rough.
Yeah.
And that was actually one of the whiskies that I've tried, and I would spat it out.
Truthfully, I need to be a bit more diplomatic than I used to be, but also I couldn't give a hoot about Avonjerrig. Avonjerrig is a distillery in the Outer Hebrides, and I thought the whiskey.
I've not tried it, and I'm curious to try it, but probably only once. Chuck's got a bottle, I think, and he said that he'd bring it on one point.
Totally offended by the whiskey.
Right,
I thought it was.
Shout
brutal.
out to the guys out in the Outer Hebrides in 2029 when you get this.
It's one guy's operation. He's produced a 10-year-old.
Right.
I'd never heard of the distillery before I had the miniature put in front of me by Cameron, and Cameron said, "Do you get to drink this?"
All right.
So.
Well, I'd say that I would go for one of the Indian ones as well, but I would say on the podcast when I accidentally bought the 1.75 litres of
Old Smuggler.
Old Smuggler.
Oh, that's harsh on Old Smuggler, I think.
That or
it wasn't great, but
I would say that. I mean, the thing about Old Smuggler it was very nondescript.
I'll tell you what. But it was
inoffensive.
I will absolutely tell you my no dram out of the 100 was my own cask of
yes,
the airing cupboard cask. Soap suds.
Graham's bottle of Naz.
Exactly. The one where I tried to get us to try that. We were
Cotton Fresh
we were in
dram.
Kilderkin at the time recording that.
Yeah, that was quite unpleasant.
Number one for that we've tried on the pod.
tried on the pod. Oh, fair enough.
So
Sorry,
difficult.
I said Avonjerrig, but not tried on the pod. On the pod, tasted best dram.
But
I
it's
think
so tricky,
the Burnside that Fraser brought was very good.
Nice,
27-year-old Burnside.
Yeah.
It's hard to go all the way
We've
back.
tried so much Glencadam off the shelf and diggers, which has been brilliant. I think my winner, not for it's the best dram ever, but for trying it for the first time on pod, is Glengoyne White Oak.
Yeah. Can get that? Yeah, Glengoyne White Oak.
Yeah. It's so hard to think of one.
Whiskey Stories Blend was right up there.
Whiskey Stories Blend is up there. I think for me, it's hard not to go for an Ardnamerican of some description.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
And there was a dram that we were given when we had Carl Crafts on very recently. I feel I'm a bit of recency bias here.
There is a bit of that.
There was a Madeira cask.
Yeah.
And I just absolutely adored it. Carl very kindly gave me the end of that bottle.
Yeah.
I took that home.
I
have to say, I last about 6 months.
I'll also say the Little Mill that Jake brought in for me and you was one of the best.
I'd say that Little Mill that we had is probably an incredible Little Mill.
But I mean, we've been absolutely spoiled by some of the stuff.
I would say I had one on the tip of my tongue there to talk about there. It was the
you said Ardnamerican.
No, there's Ardnamerican. No, it was Ardnamerican's throwing me off the scent because there was one. Well, I've got to go with the Tomatin 6 Virgin Oak. Because it was a whiskey gasm that I had, and what I really liked about that, and I tell you what I really liked about that is that I've since poured that for a few people who are in the industry who have all given me a little bit of affirmation to go, yeah, get that. One being Mark Thompson when we were in his house for House Drams.
I'll make another nomination in that. I can't remember pretty much anything that we tried, but when we did the first, but honestly, about any of them could have probably been about the best thing that we tried. After we recorded the first episode up in Dornoch with the Thompson brothers.
Oh, they put all that on the table.
And they put a selection of their releases on the table.
1976 tomatin for the Japanese Whiskey Club.
There was mental drums on that table.
It was one of those ones where Chuck was like, try this. And I tried about 5 drams, which I didn't even know what I was trying. Yeah. And they were all gorgeous. It was like each dram was better than the next one.
Chuck will never ever forgive me for finishing the tomatin that day.
But
I went, I've had
wild.
this before, but I guess I'll finish it.
It was absolutely wild.
Phil and Simon looked after something.
Phil and Simon just.
Is there a quick one?
Well, no, there's a few longer ones. You got a next
final dram
of
the 3 of the 100 episode Whiskey Flight by Ross Bar. You've had this before.
Okay.
I brought this back from Isla 2 years ago.
Oh.
This is the Bowmore Fagial 2024 19-year-old. I think it was 4 or 5 years in bourbon and the rest in virgin oak. And this is one of the best peated whiskies I've ever had.
I think that when you offered this out, I was probably not in the peated situation.
You were not even pretending to like peat at this point.
So I was probably a bit. So this is completely lost on me. So this will be. I might be trying this for the
clean your glass
yeah,
out
I've cleaned my
already.
glass out of that
Next
one.
one.
I might be trying this for the very first time tonight. Or
And
if not,
so, because there's loads of time in virgin oak, there is spice, but we touch of water, there's tropical fruits.
Really?
And that's what I'm always looking for.
Right, I've got a couple of questions here from Craig Darling. Thompson Brothers and Living Souls have just collaborated on a blend.
Yes,
With
I
that in
saw
mind,
that.
what collaborations would you like to see in whiskey? Personally, for nothing more than local pride, and even though I find pale ale cask maturation to be patchy at best, I'd like to see Glenclinchy can collab with Winton Brewery, my local craft brewery. So collaborations. What kind of things would we like to see? Anything that points out?
Ooh.
Aye.
Now.
I'll tell you one.
Go
Right,
on.
and I'm going to go 100% Fife on this one.
Oh, wow.
Daft Mill and Quaker Oats. I'd like to see. I'd like to see a whiskey porridge. Right.
Surely Scottish porridge oats, Graham.
Quaker Oats.
Or
Because Quaker Oats factory is in Cooper.
Oh, is it? Right.
In
okay.
Fife, and not very far away from where Daft Mill is produced. So I would be saying there, Quaker Oats, and there. And incidentally, we have to say, Angus and I were on a bus trip up north for a game of football.
We were.
And we stopped in Carbridge.
Yes.
On the way up there. Lovely part of the world.
2 or 3 drops of water, really.
And we stopped off at Carbridge, and we were informed that it was going to be very busy, and it was very busy than usual because we've been up there a few times. And it was because the Golden Spurtle World Championships porridge making competition was going on at the weekend.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Won by an Australian with honourables to the Norwegian.
Norwegian.
Oh, was it Norwegian? Because we bumped into the Norwegian fans.
Aye.
We bumped into the Norwegian fans in the pub, which was streaming the live feed from the from
For the world's
but
the Golden
because-
Spurtle.
yeah, but because they were streaming this, it meant that the pool table was out of order.
Yes, we couldn't play pool.
so
But there's
out
my
of action,
collaboration.
so we couldn't play
Off the
pool.
top of my head, Craig, I'm going to go. If seeing as you've kept it local, I'm going to keep it local. Fife whiskey mixed with porridge oats. Instead of golden syrup or anything like that, we're going to go Daft Mill 15 porridge from Quaker Oats. Right, Ang? Or Ross? What collaborations would you like to see?
I've no idea. Honestly, it's so hard.
It's such a
Whiskey's
hard
great.
question.
Everything else is fine by itself.
You've got a collaboration bag behind you.
Oh, so, merch. Oh, I mean, I'd love some Bailey's merch. That's gonna just to be me. I think
Well, this is it. Maybe is there a whiskey you would like to see as a cream liqueur?
Well, actually, I tell you what.
Because I know you love your cream liqueurs, Ross.
Oh well, Aaron Gold is the answer.
I know
to that
Aaron Gold
question.
is, but is there another whiskey that if it could be a cream liqueur?
I feel as a Manach whore, I should say that a Manach Moore cream liqueur would be pretty saucy. But nah, honestly, I'm fine with it. Spending more time in Stocky B in Stockbridge in Edinburgh. just out in Newtown. I would maybe say Severino's is quite big now. So
Pizza.
the Severino's in Stockbridge do a Detroit slice, so again, that's Kennedy's from Michigan, so it's got that connection as well. So maybe a Detroit slice whiskey collaboration, hot honey with whiskey or something like that.
Angus, anything you want to share?
I like to be able to cook with whiskey more confidently.
Yeah, fair.
So some kind of ingredient-based whiskey collaboration.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be food.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay, well, Craig's asked a second question. For a while, I've been hoping that Ardnamerica would release an unpeated bourbon matured whiskey, so we can really see what the spirit is all about. It looks like, with their upcoming Heritage Barley release, that my hopes may have come to reality. To that point, which brand new release would you create for a particular distillery and why? God, Craig, tough old questions tonight.
Tough old questions. Oh, fascinating.
So a current brand, and I alter what they're doing right now.
Yeah, so you've got to look at it and say, what would you like to see? I mean, I think I know what your answer could be. Right? Do you want me to give you what I think your answer? If Aberlour decided that they were just going to do a 100% bourbon release.
Yeah, it's a great answer.
If Aberlour said, we're just going to, we're going to bring out a release of, what would it be, Aberlour 12, Aberlour 14, 11?
Yeah.
Just said,
3, if you want. It's so good.
Aberlour and bourbon.
Aberlour and bourbon is really, really good. I would say I would like Aaron just to release more whiskey.
Right, there you go.
Just more.
Okay. Angus, you have one?
My one would have to be... It would have to be something that doesn't really do peated whiskey, doing something kind of medium peated.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the right distillery, because actually when I think of all the distilleries, they kind of do like Glenmurray. Oh, God.
Is this another pass from you, Angus? That's 2 passes. You're going to answer the next one.
These questions are difficult.
They are, but they're good. I would say, from my point of view, just on the back, and with Jake Adcock in mind as well, you've already mentioned the Glencoyne White Oak, I would love to see Tamdhu going down a similar route just to see what it's like. I know that there are Tamdhu you can buy independently bottled Tamdhus and bourbon, but what I'd love to see is like a Tamdhu with an American oak heavy sort of influence on it.
Do you know what I'll say? A peated Balblair.
All right, okay.
I'd love to. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it.
I'll also say
what would it be?
I think Macallan has some of the best spirit in whiskey.
Yes.
I'd love it if Macallan were limited to 100 quid a bottle, whatever they produce going forward.
All right, okay.
So that different angle of like, listen, release nothing or release something, but if you release something, it's got to be under 100 quid a bottle.
Fair.
And I bet you it would be bloody tasty, whatever they did choose to release.
Yes. Right, we're going to go into this one. Going back to one of the earliest steps. This is from Bob Cutting. Shout out to Bob, who's actually coming up very soon. We need to see Bob. Going back to one of the earliest episodes, Cody Reynolds spoke about the journey that people go on with whiskey. Which of you has done that? Now, I checked this as I was coming back. As I was coming in. Cody was episode number. Wait a minute, I've got it here. 1, 2, 3. Nope. 4, 5. Cody was episode number 5. Filmed the only time we recorded in Bennett's Bar. The Jug bar.
The dugout, in the wee dugout?
The Jug, it's called the Jug Bar.
I believe it used to be the women's section of the bar. Genuinely,
you're right.
Oh, you're probably right.
3 or 4 seats.
Now, really Cody talked about this journey that the whiskey drinker goes on. And I'll be honest with you, right? I think that that's my. You might have been on it.
It's a great episode to go back, by the way, to go back and listen to episode 5.
I've actually got an answer for who I'd like to see as a whiskey collaboration.
Go on.
As you know, I'm a football supporter of Wraith Rovers, and they've done a couple of whiskey partnerships. Rare find is they've done a few releases. I would like to see Wraith Rovers Football Club put out a release with Fuji Gatemba Distillery. There we go. Make it happen.
If anything, can we make Fuji Gatemba collaborate with your household? At that point, it's just like, I like it.
There we go.
Is there any connections between Wraith Rovers and Japan?
No.
I don't think we've ever had a Japanese. Anyway, look,
no,
the one rule we have made absolutely certain is we don't talk about football on this podcast.
No, we don't.
So well done, and we're getting to 100 episodes and breaking
the golden rule.
But I'm trying to find the sort of the because it was fascinating. Cody really did break it down, and annoyingly, I feel like I've referenced that myself. I feel like the thing about Angus was
starting a big cask type.
no, it was more. It's more like it's blends. Starts in your cheap blends.
Yeah.
Right, and then moves into this area, moves round. I'm trying to find the transcript. I actually listened to this on the way in, and I want to give it justice because the annoying thing for me with you, Angus, is that you already took to the peated whiskey.
Yeah, I kind of started with a peated whiskey, really, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean,
in an odd sort of way.
So
but even within that, I've had a bit of a kind of change of where I am with it. Because I wouldn't say, I would say there was a point in time where I wanted it to be as peated as possible and to kind of reach for the stars with the peat, going towards more of those kind of Octomore releases, etc. But actually, I've kind of retracted my kind of preference, and I would say I'm more into my kind of medium peated whiskies. Maybe. Do you know what I mean?
It's in that moment as well, isn't it? It's just.
I wouldn't say I'm a fan of heavy peat.
Well, there you go. If you do decide to put, so he said, some people, I'm not going to read it word for word, but as your palate develops, some people will never pass certain points.
Yes.
Okay. That's fair enough. But if you do decide to push past, you can go in a sort of merry-go-round of once your palate's fully developed, and that you can really appreciate good blended whiskey. So it starts off good blended whiskey. So then I asked, where are you? In fact, I'm trying to find this. But basically, you go through all the different variations where it comes round, and then you end up back at where you sort of started again, but on a more so basically what Cody was saying is you start on blends because they're cheap and easily accessible.
Sure.
Brands, so it might be a Johnny Walker Black Label or anything like that, and then you move on to your single malts. Then it moves on. I have to say that, with maybe taking the blend starting point away, but very much your easy going, your I don't know, your Glenmorangie 10, your Glenmorangie 10, your Auchentoshan,
Glenmurray.
Not even Glenmurray.
No.
That was my start was Glenmorangie 10.
Oh yeah, because that's old boy in this pub.
Exactly. Just easy going, easy to get into. Lots of ice, lots of water. Auchentoshan. The sweetness of that kind of opened up. Then I moved on to sherry casks, the Glenallachie. As I've said, I used to think I was a sort of aficionado of whiskey because I liked the dram that you really had to try and.
I think that's normal, Graham. I really do.
No, but this is a cycle.
I tell everybody, see when I first came to Scotch at 18, 19, and I knew that Balvenie had a 12, 14, 17, 21. I thought I knew everything in whiskey.
Yeah.
I thought, yeah.
But
now I realise I know nothing.
So that's
hard to believe. I understand, but it's one of the the more you learn, the more you realise you know absolutely nothing.
But then as your palate develops, because I'm the one of the group that's probably suddenly, and as you like to point out, I've gone from being the sherry tart. But you were saying even with this was before you even started pretending to like peat. Yeah. Opening up to peated whiskey. Has been a total game changer.
And it's very, very interesting. I mean, I started as you know from a point of peat, and it was chasing the peat.
Point of peat, I like that.
It was chasing the peat.
Yeah.
So I went to Isla, and I came back. Yeah.
With water.
And I mentioned trying Ardbeg Anno, discovering I liked it, thinking, yeah, this is what I like. I really like heavy whiskey. But then it's the coming back down. Yeah. And Graham obviously really liked his sherry whiskey, so because of you, I tried a lot of kind of heavily sherried whiskies. Really liked them.
Yeah.
Really, really liked them. Glenallachie's, etc., etc. Set me into that kind of down that alleyway as well.
It's quite funny. There's whiskies that we've all found a mutual appreciation for. Probably Glencairn and Glengoyne that have come out best throughout the podcast. Ardnamerica, obviously, through the rise of their reputation anyway.
Glenmurray as well.
Glenmurray, since Stephen King, I think a lot of people gave Glenmurray a chance again after listening to Stephen Woodcock's episode. My father being one of them was always disregarded Glenmurray.
It's a dram
he
that
came
you
back
go
on, gave it a go. It's fine.
Yeah.
I've never been a peated whiskey fan.
No.
And you could argue that I'm fairly set in my ways when it comes to whiskey. But that's why I always quite liked asking about peated whiskey when Angus was there, because I like the way Angus talks about peated whiskey.
Yeah, you both said at the
I think that my palate
blending you would work best together.
Absolutely, because I think my palate is immature to peated whiskey.
Right.
And reality is I should just drink more of it, but I don't because I'm greedy. Yeah. Look at me, I'm greedy. I drink what I enjoy, which is ridiculous, spoiled arse level whiskey a lot of the time. But that's why I like speaking to Angus, where see this M&S Kilhoman that
Yeah.
we joked about for about 10 episodes at one point.
Lovely.
I would never buy that. I would never buy that. Almost because if I'm going to buy a Kilhoman, I'll try and buy a specific one because I've tasted it.
Yeah.
But also, I would never buy a Kilhoman because it's going to last me 10 years. But you going like, I finished a bottle of Kilhoman this week, but you enjoyed it and you could pick flavour whatever was out after it.
Absolutely.
I joked about you being a sherry tart. I was exactly the same
Yeah,
as
we
you.
were. I mean, that's
Cameron Ewan was exactly the same as you.
It's-
Everybody was exactly the same as you. Goes, how much flavour is there? And I think when you've got a new palate to whiskey, I know you always talk about having a weakness with your nose, but your palate's decent, Graham. You're probably harsh on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But when you drink a whiskey, it's big and full and probably matured in European oak, you go, that is flavour. I can feel that. And that's where you almost get a confidence in yourself when you're drinking those kind of whiskies. You go, I get it.
I think that Ian Verteith
yeah.
talked about the drill down method, and it's something that I've really tried, and I can't get to that yet. But what I do like is the fact that, and I think this is why we haven't turned into a whiskey. I think people like to hear reviews, and I think that reviews are something that we should probably do a little bit more of.
Yeah.
But reviews in the right way, and there's a place and a time for reviews. There's plenty of people who listen to this podcast who do their own reviews, and we absolutely welcome that. But what I would say is that one of the things that we tried desperately for 100 episodes, we've steered as far clear of that as possible, is sitting swirling the glass and giving it the old, I'm getting this, I'm getting this, I'm getting this.
And that's why it's
Wanky
fun.
tasting notes are what we try and produce. But at the same time, I'd be lying if I said to you I haven't been trying very hard. But I'll taste something after I'm told what I could be tasting. Matt might be an impressionable character. You might say to me, you're going to taste cola Haribo on this, and I'll go, oh my god, I get that. And you could be totally talking rubbish. But you've given me this bowl more. I get the tropical. Like,
With a touch of water.
2 bits of water, drop it like that. But what I would say is that when we try and break down a whiskey, what I just want people to get is the fact that there's a really nice situation between the three of us here, where there might be people who listen or watch this that go, I relate best to Angus.
Yeah.
Right, I relate best to Ross, or I relate best to Graham in terms of what whiskies I like. And if someone goes, if Graham, Angus, or Ross, if Angus is sitting there going, I love that, that's an absolute, then there might be someone sitting at home going, well,
if Angus likes it, I think
I like
it.
what Angus likes, and that means that might work for me.
I love that.
And I think that's an important thing, and that's what Christopher Coates said here on this very podcast in this room, is that I need to be better at that. I think as a podcast over the next 100 episodes, Angus and I, we need to be better at that by being a little bit more critical, because I think for the first 100 episodes we've been very kind, right, where we'll go, it's not for me, it's not for that. You said in last week's episode that what was it?
Ardmore's like drinking from a puddle.
Ardmore's like drinking from a puddle, and I'm going, you can't say that, but you can.
As I say, like people that Fraser Robson, the godfather of Scotch, and Cameron. Cameron Ewan says that he's forgotten more about whiskey than Cameron knows. I respect Fraser's opinion, but he is a Teachers and Ardmore fan.
Fine.
And it's the opposite to my palate.
But I mean,
I like blue cheese. Yeah. What smoked on and all the rest of it. It's all different.
But I would say as well, and it's
why is pointless.
It's almost I mean, it's not a cliche, but it's a very oft mentioned dram, especially for Work 3 drams. But I've never really got the hype around Balvenie Caribbean Cask. It's just never done it for me.
Same.
There you go.
Yeah, Jake and I
love Balvenie, but
I mean, well, look, it's.
But then I joke about Balvenie Caribbean Cask because I'll get the people who, and you guys wouldn't do this. You would have done this previously. People that come into Scotch and go, actually, son, I know a bit about my whiskey. I go behind the bar and I'll say, 80% he'll order Caribbean Cask.
Yeah.
Because people that know that little bit, that's actually a comfort zone for them, somewhere that you know. I think it's interesting, 100 episodes in, if I had started a podcast with two people that were in the whiskey industry, which you guys now are in, whether you like it or not, but whether you like it or not, and you guys have you've both created influence in, and you've worked in some of the biggest festivals in Scotland. Massive. There's no way it would still be happening. I think the reason, and it'd be interesting, I think the reason people like this podcast is because it is three different opinions with a mutual appreciation for something that we all love and we all want to know more about.
Also, like we've had some
different
but I mean, I think I've learned so much on the pod because I was saying to Graham actually the other day, I was just kind of looking at a few bottles I'd bought, and just with that added knowledge of what I know now, looking at what maybe pick. There was a couple of bottles I picked. I picked up a bottle at the Johnny Walker Princess Street, 2019 or 2020. But it was a 2019 release.
Oh, this is a cracker.
Of Cragganmore, and I'd gone into that. And I'd said to the guy, "Oh, I like peated whiskey. I want something just a wee bit." Is it what? And he said, "Pick this up. It's a peated Cragganmore."
Yeah.
Which
the special release, yeah.
Special release. Now I thought Cragganmore did always. Maybe they did 2 weeks of peated whiskey. Maybe they don't.
No, it was just to fill the stock.
This was barley that was meant to go to Talisker. Talisker had to slow down production due to water shortage. That barley ended up going to Cragganmore instead and being distilled. And I was like, that is so cool.
What an interesting drink.
I had no idea I had this bottle. Like, I had no idea I had such a cool bottle in the house. I just thought this was a distillery that did the odd peated release, and that was one I'd picked up. But no, I was like, wow. And again, I was looking. I picked up when I'd been in Northern Ireland, I picked up a distillery exclusive Bushmills, finished in acacia wood. And we've talked about different woods, not oak, maple woods from Glenmurray. And I was like, I had no idea that I had something finished in a different wood.
There wouldn't be whiskey here.
There wouldn't be whiskey here. It's mad.
It is. I mean, the lessons that we've learned. I mean, what would you say, Angus, out of between the two of us?
But even just...
What's our lessons? What would you say is something that you've gone, wow, like a lesson? Something that you do now regularly, drinking whiskey versus
the thing I would say, and again, this maybe comes down to a bit of noticing things on a bottle. I now know the difference between refill, first fill, second fill.
Okay, yeah.
And I did not know what that was 2 years ago. I couldn't even begin to explain what that was. I would have seen that on the bottle and gone, I don't really know what that is, but even between virgin oak, refill, first fill, I just had no idea what it meant. I didn't know. It was beyond my comprehension. I knew what sherry was. I knew what bourbon was. Yeah. That was about it.
Yeah.
Peated, not peated.
Peated, not peated. I did not know that, but actually knowing that, and when I see something now and say, that's virgin oak, I know what that will be like.
Yeah, there's a bit you can relate to.
I know what that is.
Yeah, fair.
That's refill.
Yeah.
I know what that means. I know what that's that
because there's a difference between trying it and then being told about it.
Because I would have seen something before, and maybe a bottle, and it would have been refill sherry, and I said, oh well, that's going to be sherried. I wouldn't have known the difference between refill sherry, first fill sherry.
Yeah, fair. I would say there's a wee trick now that I do, and I think it's Greg Urquhart. Don't be greedy at tastings, right? And finish your drams, right? I love that. There's an element of, and I'm really wanky about it, where I'll maybe look at other people and be like, that idiot's finished all his drams and won't be able to go back and try them again, because sometimes the joy in being able to go back and try, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, I always show an element of sympathy for the first dram on the lineup. Struggling there, big man.
Yeah.
Do you want me to have a go?
Is it a cork?
Has it got a child lock? Is it like opening a...
Go on, Angus.
Aye, let's have a go.
Stick it between your guns.
Sorry, as you were saying.
No, but I'm just thinking, you know what, Ross? You've put on some... we've been really lucky to be part of spectacular tastings at Scotch Bar.
Yeah.
And I think that...
Got a corkscrew, Graham. Bloody hell.
Oh my goodness.
Give it to the only boy in the Whisky Stories podcast that goes to the gym.
Who's Jim?
Who's Jim?
That's a lanyard in the way here. That is...
This is... we might
so
have
to... for the audio listeners, what's happening
have to get
is
a combination for this.
unable to open this bottle. Is it a screw cap?
Have you got some purchase on that at all?
Is it a screw cap?
No idea.
No. This is...
Well...
Take this back. Let me pull this off and see. I'll do some more investigation.
Big thanks out to the Tampa Bay...
For the dummy bottle.
Whiskey Club Tampa Bay for giving us the bottle that was locked.
It's an elaborate hook. They've come all the way to play a trick on us.
But I tell you what, I would say going back. I would say going back in a tasting.
So leaving whiskies, yeah.
And I think there's been some whiskies that I would probably look at and go, I didn't like that first time round. But then getting I think that's a screw top. That's a screw top. So getting a chance to... Once
you know, eh?
For the listeners of the pod, Ross is just using his index finger and his thumb, just Lightly, I must have listened that for you.
Aye, all right, Graham.
I listened that for you.
It smells good, by the way.
But I would say
going
that,
back to
and
it.
I would say that
You're right. I have put on some excellent tastings.
you have, you
You
really
really
have.
have.
But there was I wrote it in the Whiskey Stories podcast. Just a wee drop for me, thank you.
Are you gonna wear the lanyard forever?
I'm never taking it off. The lanyards are the way forward. But I wrote it in the Whiskey Stories newsletter a few weeks ago. It was an element of I was trying really hard not to be wanky and not to be spoilt, but I was spoilt wanky. I was invited along to a tasting with part of the pod, Cameron Ewan, and
Private Client. Yeah.
yeah, and it was a Blair Athol 20.
Singleton, probably old Singleton.
No, it was a distillery exclusive release, not Singleton at all. So it was a like a.
Glenord, or something.
Was it Blair Athol? I mean,
The Blade Apple 20. You're on a Talisker for sure.
but there was a was it Manic Moor?
Oh, okay.
The
Prima and Ultima.
Prima Ultima 1990 or 1991,
Cool.
and it was like a 20-year finish in Virgin Oak, which is mental.
Oh, you didn't stick it in the dram roll call.
I didn't. I was trying to be really good, but not looking too wanky because I felt very spoiled at that night. But, and again, maybe it's me trying to be contrarian and all this kind of malarkey, because there is an element of this, and this is where like the mental effect of whiskey can come into things, where you sit there and go, oh, it's sometimes nice to go that the 41-year-old Talisker wasn't the best dram of the night.
I think it's interesting.
Right, there was 3 drams on the night. There it is. There, it was.
And actually, I think
Blair Athol 20, £200 a bottle.
And I think when we've been at tastings, Graham,
Manickmore 1990.
if we've got 5 or 6 drams, we'll rarely say the same dram as our favourite.
Yeah,
dram.
it's great, and I like that. And then Talisker 41, right? And it's easy to sit there and go, Talisker 41 is the best dram of the night. But at the same time, leaving a little bit in the glass for that Blair Athol and going back to it, it made Blair Athol my favourite dram of that night. Maybe because it was the cheapest on the list and it was the only one that was probably within my budget if I was to ever try and buy it.
I think Blair Athol Spirit's excellent. I'd done a similar thing. It was 38-year-old Glenord, a 27-year-old Talisker and a 20-year-old Blair Athol, and I thought Blair Athol was the best.
Yeah, but
it's so common to do a tasting with people and they go, oh, isn't the 30-year-old good? And I probably do enjoy going, I don't think it was that good.
Well, it tells
but
us,
you just have to be honest with yourself.
but also it tells a story where one
if
of
you
the
have
last
the confidence in sticking to your own opinion and be able to justify it, Eduardo, who's been on the podcast, Eduardo and I, when we talk about whiskey, very rarely agree.
Yeah, good.
But I almost always understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, that's good.
And because where he says, well, actually, this because of this for me.
Yeah.
Or I say, well, I like it because of that for me, X, Y, Z. So the best whiskey tastings and the way I get most out of a whiskey is when I'm having it with somebody of a differing opinion.
Yeah.
There's a bit of cough syrup in that, eh?
I think this
Yeah.
tastes like Frutella. Purple Frutella. Which is like starbursty kind of style.
Right, we're talking about the
kind of like
there's something about cough medicine.
there's a bit of kind of pine.
Calpoly kind
There's a
of.
bit of
yeah.
kind of pine needles.
Yeah.
I think it's really tasty.
So this is
Yeah.
Westland. It's heavy. Now, Angus, you did the maths on this because it does
the
say
math.
that it's 62 point. So yeah, proof 124.2%.
But it does have the percentage on there, 60.
I was impressed with you
62%.
because
Yeah.
I thought you'd worked that out in your head. I've just looked at the label and myself. I hadn't looked at the
I,
label.
I,
Angus
was,
went,
I was a maths above you at school, yes.
math. If
Math.
we're looking
Math.
at if we're talking American, it's
But
math.
I'm not that bright.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not that quick.
But aye, so 124.2% proof, which works out to be 62.1%.
62.1%.
It's punchy.
That is a damn good American single malt.
Yeah.
You like that, Ross?
It's hot.
Right, Ross, go and get an Instagram question.
An Instagram question. We
We'll
have an
have to-
excellent question.
We have to rattle through some of these because we are
Bye.
fast approaching like an hour.
And actually, there was a previous a more serious answer without trying to wind up Graham on my collaboration. I would like to see, going back to kind of, we talked about Woven, we've had a Woven on world blends, blending different whiskey. I would like to see more kind of Scottish-Irish blended whiskey together.
Oh,
Just
okay.
see what I can do.
Interesting.
Like Ross is shaking his head.
No.
So is it the case that
People have tried it and they've never done it that well.
Scotch and Irish?
But maybe they just haven't found the secret.
Is there a bit of
sauce,
needle
Ross.
there? Is there a bit of like?
Well, they started it, we perfected it, right? That's
Yeah,
it. Got a sinner.
but is there an element? Because I mean, you look at like there's
But there's some good Irish whiskey out there.
There's great Irish whiskey out there, but at the same
They're all
time,
turning the taps
and
off
we-
in Ireland.
And we don't talk
Yeah.
about it
They've
enough.
made too much whiskey.
Really.
you're not seeing an awful lot of what you've just talked about. Where
But you're not. That's what I'm saying. You're not.
Well, we've
I
seen
mean,
Scotch and Indian whiskey. We've seen Scotch.
The Lakes Distillery once done a Welsh, English, Scotch and Irish blend. It was not memorable. Ali Baxter asked.
Ali Baxter.
But then,
Follow the
but then
pod.
is that being done as a novelty more
They were
than
a new
a?
distillery. And
And is there maybe if someone actually
it's,
seriously
it's a
thought,
great idea.
if someone seriously thought, you know what,
they were first to do it.
let's approach this from a point of view that isn't going to be
flavour
isn't going to be a
point of view.
novelty. Let's lead with flavour and try and build something.
I think that is a nice in theory that you could do a flavour-led project like that. But the reality is, it's all marketing. Even though those whiskies.
Right, we have to crack on.
Alistair
Here.
Baxter, big question here, but it's going to take us some time. What are you hoping to have done / tasted / been to by episode 200? So let's say, what are we hoping you'll have tasted by episode 200?
Oh God, what would have tasted? Well, I'll tell you this, right?
Right.
Angus and I were talking about this, and I apologise in advance for the people who are watching and listening to this, because I do not want to sound, but I'm going to sound like a spoilt whiskey brat here, right? There are 2 decades of whiskey that Angus and I have yet to sign off on,
Oh, that's true.
right?
40s and 50s.
So no, we've tried everything up to the age of 70 years old. We have not tried a 70-year-old whiskey and an 80-year-old whiskey.
Okay.
From the-
From
the podcast. So basically, it sounds horrendous to be like, oh God, look at us. But at the same time, it's accelerate. What we've managed to do is accelerate our. Basically, managed to convince a lot of people to give us some very, very, very nice drams. But I think we had a 60-year-old whiskey at a tasting. It was a 60-year-old Caledonia single grain. We were treated to Glenlivet 50-year-old.
You will be able to. I think you will be able to try a 70-year-old whiskey in the next 100 episodes. I think there is no chance on earth that you will get to try an 80-year-old whiskey.
Well, and then it's taken us nearly 2 years. It's taken us nearly 2 years to do 100 episodes.
Mate, there's people that will never try 80-year-old whiskey.
Well, that's our challenge then, isn't it?
I've had an 80-year-old whiskey once.
Yeah, so we can.
And I don't think I'll ever try it again. There's probably 4 releases ever that have been over 80 years old.
Yeah.
2 generations.
We've got to try and find that, I guess.
Macallan, yeah.
That's it. We're on the hunt.
It's a good aim. And
Well,
he said what you're hoping for.
Well, what are we hoping for? So
you want to
there
try
go.
70 and 80 year
Do you know? Yeah.
Cheers, Ali.
Nah, not much, Ali.
Aye.
Not much.
You know what? Quite humble guys. We would just quite like to try
Well,
a whiskey
if
at
you want-
70-year-old.
Hold your 60-year-old.
Yeah, if you've got a 60 or under, no interest.
Well, if you want to give I'll give a slightly more humble answer and a slightly more vague answer. And I would just, I think we've had some great experience where we've tried whiskey straight out the cask in a warehouse.
Yeah.
I would love to have a couple more of those.
Yeah.
Just for the experience.
Here's one, right?
And we've done it before, but I'd love to be able. I'd love to just do that again. at some
I've
point.
got a
I'm sure
serious
we will.
one that I think we can do.
An achievable one.
I would like to go to Orkney and scuba.
Well, I'll be standing on the boat watching
Well,
you.
So you
Well,
can't just
well,
put
well,
something in your ears.
This is the other side of Ali Baxter's question, because he says, "Where would you like to go?" As much as
Well, I'll
doesn't he?
tie
and
that
I think
in.
we've probably got the same answer.
Well,
And
I-
I've been there before, but Graham hasn't been to Isla.
Well, I was going to say, going by Angus's
think-
question, answer there,
Yeah.
what I would like to do is, I think we're going to really go for it, right? I'm going to, episode 200, right? Bearing in mind, it's taken us nearly 2 years to do episode, get to episode 100. In the next 2 years, we're saying, right, we're looking at out of the cask in Isla, right?
Yes.
Out of the cask in, I tell you what, right? Here's out of the cask in a warehouse in every region in Scotland. Right, so out of the cask in Isla,
Nice. I
out
like
of the
that.
cask in Campbelltown, out of the cask in Speyside, Orkney, Scuba, I'll maybe have to give a bye, but Sherry and Jerez, right?
Now,
Right.
aye.
And finally,
that is a
to
good-
tap it
yes.
all off, out of the cask in Tennessee,
Kentucky.
Kentucky, yeah.
In the next 100 episodes, you
2
want
years,
to do
we've got
that?
2 years to do that.
Yeah. Well, do you know?
I like it. I really like it.
We've been coming up for 4 years old in episode 200.
Skipping out.
And again, this is a little bit pie in the sky. I would love to go to Japan with Graham.
Oh, Japan would be nice.
I would Chuck, me, you, Chuck, Ross.
And also, I'd like us all to go to India.
I would do India.
I think us.
I would love India.
I would like to
India
see
would
us
be good.
in the blowing fields of 6-row barley
In
in
Rajasthan.
and then heading off to see the monkeys.
My parents are in India next year. I'd love to do India.
Yeah.
I
What was
think-
the second part of his question? Where would you?
So what would you like to have tasted? We've kind of covered. You want to taste
Yeah.
The oldest, most expensive whiskey ever produced. What would you? Where would you like to have been? I've said Orkney. I would love to be like. I'd love to do an episode on a boat.
Yeah.
Like in our scuba gear,
Yeah.
having a drive. I think that's achievable.
I'd have a snorkel. You'd have all your
I think that
scuba
is achievable. But
I think that is great content.
By the way,
I
there's
think
that-
keeping it more achievable. I think Jerez is a great
I
answer.
need to.
I think Jerez is more
Jerez.
achievable
It
than
is the-
Orkney.
No, Orkney's very achievable,
Okay.
but I think Jerez
I
is very achievable.
I have to say
as
this,
well.
right? See, after that episode, the episode we're talking about,
I
when
think a wee trip to Spain.
Chuck went. I'll maybe publish this. Chuck went mental about me not being able to scuba in Orkney, and I was looking at artwork for the podcast. So I went. I need to find these pictures. So I went to the Chat GPT, and I said, "Great." There was a screen grab of the 4 of us sitting in this room. I said, "Take this 4 of us and put us in Orkney, but wearing scuba diving gear, drinking whiskey," and it was horrendous. Right?
Was
It
it?
was absolutely horrendous.
But Orkney,
really bad.
Okay, you may see this.
I
offensive,
need to try and find that.
like offensive to all of us.
Well, and then, but I think also, and I mean this with the greatest respect in the world, but then my prompts to try and encourage us to look more realistic were also extremely offensive. Make him bigger.
Really?
Yeah, his beard isn't bushy enough. All that kind of stuff. Right?
Orkney would be great, and I think as well there's a great whiskey road trip in there because at the end of the day,
So Ali says, what are we hoping to have done,
Right.
tasted and been to? So what we hope to have done, I think more distillery trips.
Yes.
It sounds like more warehouse tastings.
yes.
I think it would be really interesting to do maybe another distillery spotlight.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I'll
Another
tell you this, right?
spotlights.
We are in 2025. We are 2 distilleries away from hitting 12, which would be 1 distillery a month throughout the year, right? Which I think is very achievable. Bearing in mind we've still got Spaber Distillery to release.
Oh, yes.
Haven't released that yet, which
Absolutely,
is still sitting there ready to go.
Yeah.
So there's 2 distilleries left between now, as we're recording on 6th of October, to get done. So if anyone who's sitting there listening thinking we should get you guys around for a distillery tour, there's a Whisky Stories podcast thing in there. If we can hit 12 distilleries in 1 year, brilliant. Okay, because we hit, it was January that we did Portleith.
Nice.
So it'd be nice to do a full year of distilleries. I would say, in terms of events, one of the things that's been fantastic is in the last 100 episodes, our Indie Bottler Spotlights. If you look back at the ringers that we had to pull in to get meat in the room effectively for the Woodrow's of Edinburgh Indie Bottler Spotlight,
And that's something we've not discussed.
selling out
too
to selling out the
yeah. The Indie Bottler Spotlights are probably to record are probably my favourite episodes.
But it also leads us on, very importantly, we have an event that we haven't really talked about. Haven't talked about at all, in fact. Now, tonight is a big landmark for us, right? It's episode 100. However, we will be celebrating our 2nd birthday, and we have a birthday party planned where we have taken over Uno Mas. So we are doing the first ever Whisky Stories podcast takeover. We've got a stage, we've got people coming, we've got a few brands involved. I can't release too much information on that, but it's going to be a night where there's going to be 40 to 50 people who are going to come along and enjoy some drams. It's going to be a Whisky Stories. It's going to be Whisky Stories nonsense, Ross, right?
That sounds about right.
And it's going to be us mucking about on a stage with some guests. There'll be lots of games involved. There'll be lots of fun involved. There'll be whiskey involved and stuff like that. So we've got that. But it's like, where can we our whiskey? What can we do? We've had the Tampa Bay Whiskey Club coming over and we've done a tasting with them. We've actually got Scott Moore is meant to be coming over in November, which we're going to be really looking forward to.
Yeah.
We're going to do some content around that.
Yep.
We've had people contact us. We've got listeners all over the world, but we've got like Lawrence and his lovely current wife Sandra have come up twice now for an indie bottle spotlight.
Yeah.
Can we go somewhere and do an event? Can we go to London and do an event? Can we go to Ireland and do an event? Can we go up to Speyside?
Imagine doing Phage.
Yeah, I know. Phage would be absolutely unreal.
Imagine doing something at the Whisky Show in Paris.
Well, you know what, Angus? You're absolutely spot on.
How's your French?
Terrible.
Good.
Merde, that's it.
But
I did German at school, Ross.
Here's a question for you, right? Because we are fast approaching 2 hours, right?
And of course,
on this podcast,
we have done episodes abroad because we did an episode in
Cologne.
Cologne. I've done an episode in Bangalore.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not allowed to travel.
But my question here is, right? Here's a question I asked. Whiskey Paris Live and the Whisky Show in London have just finished. And everyone's talking about these being the two big
whiskey shows.
Why?
Yeah, not in Scotland.
Why are the biggest whiskey festivals probably in the world held in Paris and London? And yet here we are up in Scotland as the people that are producing Scotch whiskey. We are in the capital city. Why is there nothing there?
I agree.
Yeah.
Now,
it boggles the mind, Graham.
Well, I want to do the Whiskey Stories
Pardon my
weekend.
French,
but
it's a fucking disgrace.
I want to do the Whiskey Stories weekender.
Yeah.
I want to do, and I think we've been to enough whiskey festivals, and there are some fantastic whiskey festivals out there. I don't want to do another whiskey festival because there's enough good whiskey festivals there.
For sure.
We don't need to try and add our one in there.
No.
But I think there's something that we can do.
There's enough people that, especially if they've got to this point of this episode, who are probably a fairly devout listener, because this is a celebratory episode, it's not got a guest. There's enough people that say, okay, if we're going to do a big whiskey event next year, and you are going to come from all over the UK, maybe all over the world, what do you want to see that you've not been offered in other festivals?
Yeah, I mean...
My opinion, and my idea, would be to have a festival...
Don't share too much.
That's all... It's not just put your glass around and go around all these stands. It's you're there for 3 hours and you've got 3 whiskey stories sessions with the brand.
Yeah.
And they tell their brand story and you get ridiculous liquid, and it's more formal and it's more educational because you're more interested.
Well, I think you're right, but I think there's room. Look. What I love is I love Whiskey Fringe.
Yep.
I love Whiskey Fringe and the
Best
concept.
festival in
I love
Scotland,
Whiskey Fringe and the concept that it's multiple day. Right, and I love that people will maybe go for multiple days, or there's days where you get the trades, you get the punters, and you get what have you. I think there's legs in it, and I think you have to look at that and say it, and that's what I'm planting the flag right now. The Whiskey Stories podcast, Ali Baxter, if you're listening, Ali Baxter.
Oh, get in touch with Swee, yeah.
Well, also, but like I think that there's something to be said for
his questions.
Let's do more. No, let's do more. Let's do a Whiskey Stories Edinburgh whiskey pub crawl, not crub, but like whiskey pub. But also, like you said, Whiskey Stories. Originally, 100 episodes ago, my idea of Whiskey Stories when we started was actually really diving into the history of whiskey stories, because that's what really got me into it.
Yeah.
But actually, what we've ended up accidentally falling upon is getting people on here to tell their story, and it could be a brand that's telling their story. It could be an individual that's telling their story. And what we're doing is we're bringing people that are a bit closer, people closer to other, and that is something that we can offer.
Whiskey Stories podcast, experience the whiskey stories.
But exactly, that's exactly it. And I think there's definitely legs in that, and there's enough people that I think we have that would be able to come to that. But what I want to finish on...
Here's the thing for distillery trips. Would there be an appetite? You let us know in the Facebook group, Whiskey Stories podcast on Facebook. Would there be an appetite if we're going to go into a distillery?
Come with us.
That you want to come with us?
Yeah.
Is that something that people would want to do? If we could organise a distillery that's maybe not normally open or whatever we want to do, and we could get a group of us going up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But look,
let us know.
I tell you what, I'm going to finish on Robbo CJ, who sent us our very nice. And also, I'd like to say thank you to everybody who's sent in questions and things like that. And if we haven't read them out, I do apologise.
Yeah.
We've havered on and on and on for nearly 2 hours here. So we do try and keep them under 2 hours now. But Robbo CJ said, for me, finding your podcast was a highlight. I found it during a time last year I was bedridden due to health issues, and I was back and forth to hospitals. So it was great for me to just put yous on, and I didn't have to think about anything other than whiskey chat. But I will say the Indie Bottler Spotlight with Thompson Brothers was a real highlight as well. My question for you lads is, it's probably more of Chuck's expertise. I'm going to Beijing in Japan for a whole month, and I would like to get into at least one distillery tour. I am eyeing up Kinsuke or Yoichi. Kanasuke, yep, there you go. Or Yoichi. What would be your recommendations?
Well, I have no knowledge of China, but I do have a wee bit of knowledge of Japan. So I will give a quick answer on that. And thank you.
He's going to Beijing and Japan.
I know, but I have no knowledge of China. I've never been to China, but I've been to Japan a couple of times, and I have been to a couple of distilleries in Japan. I would say I've not been to Yoichi, but I know it's very, very accessible on public transport from Sapporo, which is a big, big city in the north of Japan. And they do regular tours. It should be very easy to book. I would say it requires a wee bit of. It's not the easiest website in the world. I think the distillery tours open up about 3 months before you can visit. Really, really make the effort to get to Fujigatemba if you can. Search Fujigatemba Distillery and Kirin possibly in Google. I will try and maybe share the link. If you can get to that, so you can get a train from central Tokyo to Gotemba Station. It's Fujigatemba Distillery. I think I'm almost 99% sure. Do a shuttle bus if you're booked on a tour from Gotemba Station to Fujigatemba Distillery. We went on the way back. We didn't go on the way there. We went on the way there a different way.
Goodness,
but I will try.
That's a very sincere answer for you there.
But Fujigatemba are really, really interesting distillery because they do malt, they do they do malt, they do grain.
Yeah.
So if anything, you can just do them and then you're
the
fine.
Umami Brothers.
And it's really accessible from central Tokyo, which is the main thing. It's about an hour train from central Tokyo to Gotemba. And as I said, about a 10 or 15 minute shuttle bus from Gotemba Station to the distillery. I'll try and share as much detail as I can with you.
I've not been
it's
before.
Well worth doing, and it's free. The tour's free.
Yeah, I mean, he's in China and Japan for a month. I reckon he's all right to pay for the tour.
But this is what I'm saying. It is free, and you get
the Highlander Inn in Tokyo.
The
is
Highlander
you should do
Highlander
well.
in
Is
Tokyo.
there any other Japanese stuff that you just should do? Japanese whiskey stuff that you should do while he's there?
Yeah,
out with the distillery visit.
I didn't get a chance to go to the Highlander Inn. I would recommend it highly. It must be. Chuck's spoken highly of it. If you can get to the Highlander Inn, there's a Highlander Inn in Tokyo. There's also a Highlander Inn in Chichibu.
If you're here in February, they do Chichibu Whiskey Festival as well.
Chichibu Whiskey Festival as well, which is something you'd have to look up. Chuck would be the man to talk about Kanasuke. I've not been to Kanasuke.
Strangely shaped
But what I would say is Yoichi.
Yoichi.
I've been desperately looking for it to back it up. What Yoichi on the 22nd of April 2024. We had Shan and Jodie Buchan on, and Yoichi 15 was one of Shan's 3 drams.
Yeah, she had to make a cocktail with
There you go, she had to make a cocktail. Listen, guys, we've done it. We've made it to episode 100.
Well done, lads.
It's been absolutely fantastic.
I hope you enjoyed your jams tonight. What was the winner of my 3? The Wardhead, Bowmore and Buna.
I'm going to go for the Bowmore.
Yeah.
Bowmore for me.
Still pretend to like Pete.
Yeah.
I really like the Buna.
Buna.
I'm going to say the Buna was.
I mean, I like the Pete. I'm enjoying the Bowmore.
I like the Bowmore. I like the Wardhead was fantastic. But yeah, the
Ardnamerica was delicious.
Fantastic. Look, guys, 100 episodes in the bag.
Well done, Graham.
Well done yourself.
Well done, Angus.
Well done, Ross. Well done, Angus. It's been absolutely fantastic. And you know what? I wouldn't want to do 100 episodes with anybody else except for you guys. Absolutely fantastic.
Thank you so much for watching and listening.
We couldn't have done it. We could not have done it. We had 8 downloads from the very first episode, right? And I'll tell you what. You know what? If we were still on 8 episodes, 8 downloads, 100 episodes in, you've got to question the content that we're creating.
But you know what, Graham?
Listeners all over the world.
We do it. You know, we wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for the fun of it as well.
Absolutely, we have a great time. But
we have a fantastic time, and I love nothing more than chatting.
Do you know what?
Sitting here and chatting about drams with you guys.
You lads are childhood friends. You've known each other since pretty much since I was born.
Have I?
Well, after you were born, actually, we would have met. 2000 would have met.
Okay, I was born in '99. Fair enough. But what I've enjoyed is I've enjoyed drinking whiskey with you boys most weeks for the last 2 years.
That, Ross.
That's huge.
No,
Because you can drink whiskey with anybody, but having conversation, it's been brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like more of.
Yeah.
Tell us, do you want more snippet scorers?
We're open to
I thought
ideas.
that was a genius idea, original idea. We need to do more of them. For example,
do you want lanyards?
Do you want lanyards?
I'm sitting here.
Do you want lanyards?
I'm sitting here right now. Microphone in hand, dram in one hand, and I've got a lanyard with a dram waiting on me as well.
Is there a distillery you want us to deep dive next year? Is there somebody that's like, I can't believe you've not had this person on? Tell us, we'll harass them until they come on.
The engagement that we get every single week, whether it's emails coming in, it's people messaging on the group, and also I checked, we've done all right on Apple Podcasts. We're sitting at how many votes have we had? Apple Podcast, again, lots and lots of pre-work here, but on Apple Podcasts, I think we're sitting at now. Where is it? I think we're at 4.9 rating.
Oh.
Which isn't too...
How many people have voted for it? Is this what you're trying to find out?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying
Whose vote is done?
Well, I was going to...
Listen, Craig Darling, I said you're from Haddington. I now realise it was Trinent.
Aye.
Please.
4.9 is higher than my Uber rating, so there you go.
Exactly, there we go. Right, I'm going to try
That's
and do
all
this.
we can say.
Jeez, Angus. Must be fairly missed well.
Oh, I think 4.87 is mine.
But
Is this episode number 1?
episode number 1, Graham Ross and Angus are in the back room of the Athletic Arm Diggers pub in Edinburgh chatting about how they know each other and their journey through the wonderful world of whiskey.
Welcome to the Whisky Stories podcast. It's just 3 blokes enjoy a dram.
My parents were. I had one set of keys. I had one set of keys. My parents had the other set of keys. So
Inverness and your mom's car.
I'd driven up from Stirling to Inverness.
Bottles of grouse rattling around in the boot.
Having a conversation like this, it's a couple of pals sharing a few drams. A couple of pals sharing a few drams can go a long way.
Welcome along to the Whisky Stories podcast with my...
There we go. That was it.
A couple of pals having a few drams can go a long way.
100 episodes, there we are, Ross. Listen, guys, all the very best. Thank you so much for all the stories that we've created ourselves. But thank you also to everybody who's watched, listened, and engaged. All the very best. Here's to the next 100 episodes. Slange.
Cheers.